We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I am Sherman Troy White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the... Wait, what? What's that? We got who? Australia's treasure herself? Alright, well, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, please join my hands as we welcome Miss Alicia Malone!
The champ is here!
I don't know. Australia's treasure. I think that's probably Kate Blanchett or someone like that. But thank you for having me.
No,
don't worry, I will
no
totally
problem.
insert a sound effect of a crowd cheering right here, so it won't be anywhere near as awkward as it is right now.
Yeah, no, Trilbee told me to say that. He said, tell Alicia Malone or Australia's treasure that he said hi. So he couldn't make it here because of, time reasons. He's currently napping because he has a work to go to tomorrow.
That's
or
right, because
this
you've
morning.
done a podcast with him before as well on his Film Brits podcast.
Yeah, I did. I did a little guest spot on his podcast, and that was so much fun. So that's why when you guys contacted me, I was like, yep, I'm up for it. And then I had listened to your podcast, and I thought it was really great. So.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Our comments do not agree. All right, well, tell you what, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump right into Suicide Squad here. So I guess let's get to our feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, guys. So this is the feature presentation, in which ways we're talking about Suicide Squad. Now, here's how we're going to do this. We're gonna go non-spoilers and then spoilers, just in case people that have not seen this film yet. In which case, sorry to hear that. Let's start. What did you guys think about Suicide Squad? How about you, Alicia? Ladies first.
Oh, I was so disappointed by this one. I was really looking forward to it. It was the one blockbuster that I had my high hopes on because I love David Ayer. I thought his movies are always so gritty and grounded and cool and have a great edge to them. I did a press day with the entire cast about a couple of months ago. It was for CinemaCon, and they were all speaking about the movie, and it sounded so great. It sounded like it was taking these superhero or supervillain characters and putting them in this real world. It was going to be dark, it was going to be gritty, it was going to be unlike any other superhero film we've seen before. It was going to be dark and dirty and great references, the Joker as this ghetto gangster. I loved everything they were saying, and then the movie was just very average.
Yeah. Well, I think what they described to you sounded like what David Ayer was making, essentially. For what I've read and what has been said around is that apparently, there were two versions of this film, and Warner Brothers just mashed the two together. They had David Ayer's version, and then I think the result of Batman and Superman and the lukewarm to absolute horrible reception that it received, DC panicked, and therefore they said, oh, well, let's just make this light and colorful and fun and jokey version, and they just kind of forced David Ayer to melt the two together. So
it didn't make any sense at all, and you felt like it was completely disjointed. They also brought on the guys that edited the trailers, and the trailers were great. And since I've seen the film, I've gone back to rewatch some of the early trailers to see what they pieced together. And they definitely took like a bit from here, a bit from there, a bit from there to try to make it look great. So then they brought on these editors, and the setup of the start of the film, no spoilers, but I thought that bit was quite cool, although it did feel like a couple of trailer moments with music and graphics, and it was all over the place, and it just didn't reflect what happened later on in the movie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wonder if that's why there were so many different music. It was those editors. They're all like, Bohemian Rhapsody, it worked so good in the trailer. Let's just put songs in everywhere.
It was so on the nose with all the music cues too. It not like Guardians of the Galaxy, which melded the music so well and it had some really fun moments. This was like new character, bring in a new song, and it was just all a bit
Well, with Guardians had, and I know right away people are going to get mad at us for comparing this to Marvel, but that's what DC's doing. That's why they put the music in the movie. With Guardians, they had the soundtrack really melded with the story, and so when Peter Quill opens up that present from his mom, and then he plugs in the tape, and it ain't no mountain high enough, we all get warm, feelings in our heart because they've worked it into the story. But here, when Eminem just starts playing randomly, I liked it. That's just because I liked that song. It didn't really work well with what the movie was actually about. But what did you think about the movie itself, Bandit?
Well, it's weird. Like, before we get into talking about the movie itself, I noticed that the amount of online buzz and interest for this movie leading up to it was really intense, leading up to it. I think only the Deadpool stuff where they first leaked all the Deadpool stuff and the Red Band trailer and all that was the only other thing I'd seen that had generated that kind of interest online. So after Deadpool did really good at the beginning of this year, I thought this could be massive, this Suicide Squad. I was like, there's a lot of interest in this. And as evidenced by the first weekend box office, which broke box office records in August, one of the biggest for August of all time, I think. Clearly there is the interest there, but the question is now going to be going into the second week and the third week and the fourth week. Is that buzz and that online interest and that audience interest going to continue over, or are the bad reviews going to be enough to stifle it like it did with Batman v Superman? If it can retain that position, because there's not really any other competition over the next couple of weeks apart from maybe Sausage Party.
Yeah, we're approaching the end of August, but I do if you look at the weekend box office itself, I think it was Yahoo who reported that that the drop off from Friday to Saturday was 41%. So clearly the audience and I think that's what a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy again did so well because of the word of mouth. It kind of kept people coming back to the movies to see the movie 2-3 times. And I think it made $140 million this weekend in the U.S. alone. But I think we may see a 65-70% drop because of the lukewarm reaction that the audience are getting. Yeah,
and the thing is, it's frustrating because, as a DC fan, this is DC really needed a home run with this because they've already had. They've already had two other, with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. We all know this is the third certified rotten movie from DC in a row now. They really needed a home run, and they could have got one because the interest was there, but somehow it all just fell apart. And
yeah, I think they're so terrified of taking big risks, or I think letting filmmakers have their own original voice, and so. Joking, and they are just in such a rush to get to the place that Marvel is at with Avengers. But Marvel spent so much time setting up all the stories and all the characters, building the trust of the audience to get to that place. So it's hard for them just to go from 0 to 100. But I was really disappointed because, I didn't read these comics, but I thought these characters were so cool and they had such great potential. But the plot is very pointless. The villain is incredibly weak. And the dialogue is so clunky. It's just horrible. So much exposition. And, I'm sure you agree that Captain Boomerang's accent.
I was gonna ask. Coming to two Australian natives, how did that? I don't know. I quite enjoyed the character.
I actually thought he was good. He's obviously not real Aussie. He's got to be hyper Aussie. Yeah. Every Aussie in a movie, except for maybe Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters, his accent was genuine in that because he was just talking normally. But
just talking at this early press day, he said to me, he was like, Australians are going to hate me in this movie. They kept pushing me to do the accent stronger and stronger. And he goes, but they actually wanted me to carry a can of Foster's all the time. And I said, no, I draw the line at that. I'll never be allowed back in Australia.
Thank God for that, yeah. Isn't it weird, though? Isn't it weird hearing an Australian accent in the American movies?
Yeah.
We're used to... you're in America now, but even in Australia, you're used to hearing the Australian accent at all time. But for some reason, when it's on the movie, you're like, ugh. It just doesn't fit in that world for some reason.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that sounds terrible.
It's is that how I really sound? Yeah.
I actually like Captain Boomerang, his characterization, because the whole thing where I guess we'll save it to a lot of the stuff until spoilers, but the whole thing where he's kind of the shifty one, where he'll like trick other people into doing things, and how he's probably the first one ready to abandon the team. Like, that's all comic accurate. That's what Captain Boomerang is like.
Yeah.
But, come on. Where are all these fancy boomerangs? Like, they could have even made a
he only
joke,
throws like two. He throws 2 boomerangs. I think I counted out and then I think one misses its target and just never comes back.
Yeah.
And then he catches the other one. Yeah.
I was like, they could have even made a joke because, like,
how to do the boomerang for real, but he said he could never master it, so they had to CGI.
Yeah.
well, I thought,
Yeah. Speaking of CGI, go ahead, Bandit. Go ahead.
One of his, like, he's got all different boomerangs of different types, but one of them's an exploding boomerang. And you think about it, and you're like, an exploding boomerang. Really think about that. You throw it, it comes back at you, and it explodes. Like, they could have made a joke about that in the movie, but he only really had his drone boomerang. And even then, how was the camera steady if the boomerang's spinning? I don't know.
Yeah, that's something you don't think about it. Don't think about it. It's like, okay. So what were you standing aside from the film, from the production problems that this film apparently had? What did you think about the movie overall, Bandit?
I really enjoyed, like, all the character introductions, even though there was too many of them, especially in the first half. Like, and again, this isn't a spoiler, but there's like 2 briefing scenes back to back. Like, the movie starts, and first it's got the intro of Deadshot punching the thing in his cell. Then it's got the intro of Harley Quinn hanging from the cell. Then it cuts to the restaurant that you see in the trailers. She's like, I gotta put this team together. Then it immediately cuts to another briefing room in, like, the Pentagon or something.
Yes.
Her saying exactly the same thing and continuing with, like, this guy's from here. And it's like, couldn't you have condensed these together or something? Like, so I enjoyed the backstories, but I was like, why did they chop it up like that? It was a lot of really weird decisions.
Yeah, my thing with this film is that I was very, the longer it went on and the closer I got to the credits, I kept telling myself I'm getting very annoyed by having to watch 2 different movies try to fight each other, because you can clearly see, and I'm being like, it was because you could clearly see it was a lot like Gollum in a sense of, like, they want to be this really cool team building, kind of dark, almost kind of war Black Hawk Down superhero film, and then another time wants to be an MTV music video. And they really try to make them mesh, especially when they try to bring the Joker into things. But that ultimately is why it falls apart. And I'm so sick of team films having something shoot into the sky at the end, and then having to have to stop it while battling mindless drones.
And
that's happened. Like,
it always being a world-destroying threat, which immediately opens up the thought where you're like, why doesn't Flash show up? Why doesn't Wonder Woman show up? Why doesn't Batman show up? It's gonna kill the whole world. Like,
they established that those characters exist in this world, especially in this film. I won't give anything away, but they show that the Justice League is a thing in this world. So why not have them show up at the end? I don't know, because they were useless.
This is something I was going to talk about. Sorry, go ahead, Alicia.
I'm so sick of the whole world being at jeopardy. I just feel like that doesn't have much stakes anymore, because we've seen it. It's been done. I don't care. It's not going to happen. Justice League's coming, so I'm not worried about the world. I'm not invested in the story or worried who's going to win at all. That's why I really loved what Ant-Man did when it was just about a father trying to save his daughter. I thought that, to me, had such a power to it, because it built up that emotional connection, and then you really wanted her to be saved.
Yes.
That's my main problem with superhero films, is that I never feel a sense of stakes or excitement.
Well, Civil War did something like that, where they subdued the expectations of the end of the world, where you think, oh, they're going to have to fight a bunch of Winter Soldiers, it's going to be this giant world-ending thing. No, it's just a conflict between best friends, and that I think that,
That was really great.
Civil War was great. Yeah, it was.
And
what were you going to say, man?
Something that, like, now that everyone's building their comic book cinematic universes, something that they, for some reason, don't take from the comics, that they really should, is the whole idea of calibrating your villains to your heroes. The reason that comic books can have team comic series, like a Justice League comic, but then the standalone comics as well, is because all the heroes and the villains' powers are matched up. Like, Batman and the Joker are roughly the same power level, like, give or take. So you can have a comic book of him and Joker, dueling or whatever, and you're not wondering how come Superman doesn't show up to help him, because he can handle it. You know, so like,
Yeah.
if you got a team like Suicide Squad, they could have just had them going after Joker, them up against Joker and his gang, because Batman's busy doing something else, and it would have made sense, and it would have been way more interesting, and we don't need to have the world blow up every movie.
Exactly. I think it would have been so interesting, and I think that's what David Ayer is much better at, doing this kind of real world, on the street type thriller, rather than dealing with supernatural elements and CGI and that whole thing. I don't think that's necessarily his forte. And I just saw I don't know if you've seen the Rick Ross Skrillex video with the purple Lamborghini. It's crazy, it's stupid, but at the same time, there was a moment when I was watching that and I was like, actually, that it kind of would have been cool just to see the Joker going around town causing mayhem, and then them trying to stop
going through the drive-through with his Lamborghini, buying some Maccas and shooting the person. You know?
I'd like a McMuffin, please. Yes. I know, but like I think someone was saying that laugh.
Help us, old lady, at 3:00, aye. You know.
Okay. Well, I think because I think this plot would have worked a lot better, like you said, Alicia, kind of keep it more grounded. If they still want to do, a kind of an escape from New York kind of thing where they're stuck in the city, they can, but have it be more like the Batman video games that have come out recently, the Arkham games. For those that don't know, there are games where Batman is stuck in one location and he has to fight through villains to usually stop the Joker. So you could easily do something like that. And if you still want to expand this universe, DC, now I'm talking to you guys, if you really want to expand this universe, have the Suicide Squad be dropped off in this city, dropped off in this location, and have them have to fight their way through some of maybe Batman's rogues gallery, and have it set in Gotham City, and then you can have the Joker still causing the mayhem, and have the Joker be the final villain that they have to stop. Because why would you send pretty much no powers, with the exception of El Diablo, who said he's not going to fight anybody, to go stop an enchantress? Which, is that a spoiler? It's not a spoiler. Why would you send them to do that when they clearly are absolutely outmatched and in no way could stop that villain? That did not make any sense to me. That's nonsensical.
Yeah.
All right, rant over.
Can I ask,
yes, go ahead.
One thing, because we're being harsh, let me say something I really loved about this, though. I really loved of how much it really did feel like a comic book universe. Because, we've gone through, the Nolan Batman movies, which it needed to at the time. It couldn't be full-on comic booky. Even with those Nolan movies, they need to explain, practically how this could exist somehow in the real world.
Dark Knight Rises.
This is a universe where, Joker has a bright purple Lamborghini, and you don't question it, because it just fits. You're like, yeah, this is comic book world. And I love that. You can just have a giant crocodile man, and it just makes sense.
Yes.
That's so good.
Except he should have had a tail. He should have had a tail. That's just me. I don't know. That bothered me. I feel like Killer Croc should have a tail, and he should also be Hulk size. But whatever. Yeah. Make your real gritty movie. That's just whatever.
It was all like have hopefully something to do other than swim and
BET. I don't know. Bandit. Okay, Bandit. So let me ask. Okay, so they make a joke about BET. Did they make that joke in your theater? So I'm wondering if that's just an American thing.
BET. I don't remember that joke.
Okay, good. Okay, maybe it's one of those things where they change it for every country. That's just a random thought I just had. Okay, so I guess we have
the movie. I can't remember.
It's at a certain point where all the characters are getting certain things that they want, and they're like, "You want this, this, and this," and they ask Killer Croc what he wants, and he says BET, and that he gets a TV. So that thing I wanted to see because in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's
okay. Let's make it. BET is it's an American.
BET, I didn't know what it was.
BET is black It's black TV, so I laughed a lot at that. It's black television. But anyways, my point being, Alicia, since Bandit's right, we have been just crapping all over this film. It's not terrible, is it? Are there things that you enjoyed from the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I say I was disappointed by it only because I had really high hopes, given the cast involved, given the director, and given that it looked like they were trying something different I was hoping that they would leave this film to do its own thing, and they were concentrating on Justice League, and it would be able to be this just weird little film that worked. But I was really shocked about the low score on Rotten Tomatoes, looking at the aggregate of all the critics, because I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was disappointing, weak, but not terrible, not like it's 26% or whatever it ended up being.
Well, I think I think how it is what they're with. I think because I think, and a lot of people need to keep this in mind, is that it is, like you said, it's an aggregator.
Yeah.
So I think they don't judge it on individual scores like something like a Metacritic does, because I think the Metacritic score is higher. They judge it on whether or not how many people gave it at least a 3 out of 10. And so I guess if everyone gave it, a 2.5 out of 10, then that means they gave it a bad score. And so that kind of means 20% of the people that saw the film were the only ones that were to give it a 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 10 or whatever, 5 out of 10 or higher. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, but it's funny when you look at that score in relation to other films that have come out recently, and you think, I don't think it was necessarily worse than the other movies. But the thing that I really enjoyed about it was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and that character has some problems. She's objectified, and a lot of issues that I wish as a woman it could have been a really interesting, fascinating.
I agree.
Letdowns, but I thought for what she was given, she did a really good job at it. She's definitely the shining star in it. Will Smith also always brings his A game, and he was as good as he could be again with what he had to work with. It's funny that he was saying, "This is my first time being a villain, and I'm going to be a villain," and
He's not a villain.
You're a hero.
No, they keep it. They keep it very New 52 Deadshot, where he's just kind of there to kill people, and he's like, but he's got a daughter, so it's okay.
Yeah, but he's like, only kill bad people. That's all.
Yeah. So I really liked the parts with Harley and Joker together. I think that relationship is really fascinating. I would have actually preferred to watch a whole movie on those two characters, because from not reading the comics and just or watching the animated series, but just from what I understand, it's a very abusive relationship. It's a very interesting relationship, the way she turns from therapist to loving him to being just as crazy as him, and I think eventually turning on him. But that is interesting. And the moments when they were together, I thought they had great chemistry. So I would have liked to see more of that.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because you do say that you don't read the comics, and you're not as familiar with the characters as more people are. So it's interesting to say that you like the relationship between Harley and Joker, because I absolutely hated it. Maybe it's because I really hated the Joker in this movie. But going back to Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, I do think she was fine with what she was given, but what she was given was just atrocious. I thought what she was given was awful, because Harley Quinn's not an idiot. She's ditzy, but she still can hold her own in certain aspects, and she kind of does in this movie. And oftentimes she just kind of felt like a really aggressive moron. And also about her costume, there are probably like dozens of costumes you could have chosen for Harley Quinn, and I get that you want to make this costume her own, but when her thong gets thinner and thinner as the movie goes along, and you start focusing on it in the frame by having the camera pan down to it more, it really did start to bother me, and that's why I'm becoming
very on the nose. And there's a scene where she gets changed in front of everyone. Everyone's stopping to look at her, and it's just all a bit much.
See, I wouldn't have minded all that if they balanced it out with, there's that one bit, again, no spoilers, don't worry, but she's talking to Deadshot, and Deadshot mentions that he doesn't feel anything when he kills people, and she goes, textbook sociopath. So it's like a glint of, that she's a psychiatrist. I would have liked it if they peppered in more of that. Yeah. Maybe hinting that maybe she wins over each member of the Suicide Squad in a different way because she's a psychiatrist. She knows how to approach them. I think if you had that would have helped to sort of balance out her pretending to be dumb, because Harley Quinn's not dumb. She pretends to be dumber than she is.
She's a doctor.
Yeah, she's
smart. A doctor.
It's an act, the whole thing she puts on so that people underestimate her. Yes. But I don't feel like they showed her intelligence underneath that.
That's interesting. That would have been more interesting to show in the film if she was putting on an act but secretly was masterminding something. I don't know. I just feel like she could have given more. She could have been given more to work with, but she did everything she could to make that a cool character.
Have you guys seen the movie Focus with Margot Robbie and Will Smith? I quite enjoy that movie. Maybe that's just me. I felt like she was a far better character in that movie than she was in this one. I don't know. You may not like the movie Bandit, but it was a movie they did before they did this. You probably don't need to see it. It's a very generic, con man movie, but I quite enjoyed it. I think she was far better in this movie.
Quite a lot, and I thought those two were great together.
Yeah, that chemistry was electric in that film. Yeah,
she certainly played the character well. Like, the faults with the character, not with her acting, but Will Smith.
Yeah.
I didn't like Will Smith. I was like, he's good, but he's just being Will Smith again. I thought it was a chance that he could have, expanded a bit and actually played more of a villain. Yeah.
It's like Tom Cruise these days. He used to try different things, and I do love seeing Tom and Will as these action heroes, but I just wish that they would get back to doing a variety of different characters. It does feel like they're playing the same iteration of a hero type role. Yeah. And I'd love to see something different. Plus, this line is in the trailer, so not a spoiler, but Will Smith has the worst line of the film, which is, what are we? Some kind of
Suicide Squad?
Oh,
he looks at
there we go. There's the title.
Looks at the camera and smiles for the poster. We're some kind of Suicide Squad, and the credits starts rolling. No, I feel like Will Smith is at a point in his career where a lot of the general public kind of stopped caring that Will Smith was a thing. And so to me, it was very refreshing to see, especially because Focus didn't do that well. I think it's refreshing to see Will Smith really have that movie star quality, that movie star lead, that charisma that we all know Will Smith has again, because for a while, he wasn't in a lot of things. He was in the occasional drama. He tried Men in Black, but that didn't work very well. So I think it's nice, especially after Earth. I think it's nice to see classic Will Smith back on screen again. And that was a refreshing thing to see. And I think if you want to see Will Smith, broaden his horizons as an actor, I think Concussion was a great way for him to do that. I think he's great in that movie.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, surprise star, El Diablo. I never thought I'd like that guy as much. I just thought, he'll just be the fire guy. But I was like, he's actually really cool. I like his character. I find him interesting. You didn't like him?
No, well, I feel like everyone says, everyone said coming out, they know El Diablo was, their standout. El Diablo was the character that, felt like he was kind of the heart of the movie. I disagree. I feel like he kind of stood around and didn't do anything for the first two acts, and then the third act he decided that they were all his family. And I feel like I don't understand why, he, that it doesn't make sense in how he stops being this fire, he stops using his powers of fire because something tragic happens in his life. And then we see him using the fire in the prison, and he's smiling when he does it. So, where is his character drawn there? Why is he suddenly doing this in prison after this tragic thing has happened, after he turned himself in? Which is why he's in solitary, at the start of the film. And so by the time you get to the end and he's like, we're all family, which isn't a spoiler, I'm sorry. It's like, by the time he wants to be a family with this group, it's to me, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense for the character. He didn't really do much.
Makes no sense. They're suddenly family, because there's that one scene in the bar, and this is spoiler territory, but then suddenly they're all besties. But the character that I feel the worst for, and the actor I feel sorry for, Slipknot. He was just shoved in there. I have a feeling a lot of his role was cut out.
They didn't even bother giving him the intro. He just shows up in a car and they're like, oh yeah, that guy's real good at climbing.
He's so without giving anything away to the listeners here, he's the guy that, there always has to be someone to be made an example of, and Slipknot in this case is that guy. But I feel like I feel like not enough people are talking about Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag, because everyone's calling El Diablo or Deadshot the heart of the film. To me, I feel like Rick Flag is the true heart of the film. I feel like Joel Kinnaman really surprised me. He was the one to me that felt like he was oozing the most charisma. He's to me that felt like, out of all the characters in this movie, he's the one to me that felt like the realest kind of character. He's the one to me that felt like, oh, this is a guy who has clearly just been thrusted into this situation and feels like he's trying to do right for his country, but is clearly being forced to do things that he does not want to do, he is not okay with. And I feel like Joel Kinnaman really sold that performance for me. No one else seems to agree with me.
No,
but that's okay.
I don't agree. I feel like his character is definitely supposed to be the emotional center, and he's the reason why you follow along with the story and you want them to succeed. But his relationship that's set up in the film, I thought they had no chemistry. And Joel, I know, is a fantastic actor, and you can see that in many of his roles. But here, it just fell flat for me. And I'm kind of just glad that Tom Hardy passed on that role. Because I think Hardy
or Jake Gyllenhaal, because they went for him. I went to him too.
Because I think they wouldn't have been able to give it exactly what they were trying to do with the character. It was just written poorly.
Okay. All right.
Maybe I'm being harsh.
Did you guys like the Joker? I don't mean to. What were you going to say, Bandit? We'll jump to that later.
Joker too.
Yeah.
I was going to say like in my review I did on my channel, I was saying that I feel like I need to see more of him before I can really say how I feel about it, and I do. But at the same time, I will say like in the scenes where he's supposed to be like intimidating, I didn't find him intimidating at all. I was wondering. I was like, why is everyone so scared of him? You know,
I was very irritated the whole time.
Even scenes set up where when he's going to do something violent, and they've even got a visual effect that they add for like when he kind of snaps and when he's about to go psychotic. They even alter the visual. And they had all that, and without giving the scene away, the violence it leads up to isn't really extreme. It isn't shocking. It isn't Jokerish. It doesn't even really make sense.
No. and my thing with the Joker, I hold the Joker very near and dear to my heart because The Dark Knight is the reason I love movies today. So of course I'm going to love the Joker. That being said, I'm not trying to say that Jared Leto needs to be Heath Ledger. No, if anything, I wanted him to not be Heath Ledger because there's no way he's going to beat Heath Ledger. I wanted him to be his own Joker. And at the start, for certain bits, he was kind of his own Joker. There are certain scenes in this movie where I can see the seeds of what Jared Leto's Joker was trying to be. But for all the talk and the marketing and all the gifts he sent people and how the Joker is supposed to be this sick and sadistic and twisted guy, we don't see him do anything. No. And we don't like Heath Ledger's Joker, you know, like whenever he gets Gamble and he gets the knife in his mouth and he tells the story of his scars and then he just cuts. You don't see him, but he cuts some guy's face up and then he attacks Rachel at a party. You know, we see the Joker do things.
The magic
we
trick.
Don't see him. Yes, that's all I needed a magic trick. Like literally in 2 minutes. I was, okay, let's not judge Heath Ledger's performance because that was a full 45 minutes of movie time. Let's just judge his first scene, which is him talking to all the mafia guys. Let's judge that with what we get with Jared Leto. All we needed was a magic pencil where he stabs some guy in the eye with the eraser end of a pencil. That's all we need. Yeah. But instead, Jared Leto wants to be this weird, sexually obsessed kind of not even 1920s, modern day hipster gangster with his chest out, and he's always talking like this. It's really, and his hands are moving everywhere. It was really irritating, and I felt like he was trying to be different to the point to where it was like someone trying to be cool, and he was really.
But don't you get it, Tracy? He laid a circle of knives out. That means he's cool.
Yeah, but maybe if you showed us how he got the baby clothes, I could be more intimidated. But
yeah. Circle of knives and some weird baby clothes at the back. It was very strange. It felt to me like he was in a different movie from everyone else.
Absolutely.
And I think there, like you said, there were some seeds of some cool moments or things that he was trying to do with the Joker to make the character different from what we've seen before. And I kind of, like I said before, I like the idea of a ghetto gangster Joker. And they were talking about in the press day about using sort of Mexican cartel imagery as an idea, as the basis of his weapons and his showmanship. And I thought that sounded really cool. But when you watch it in relation to the rest of the movie, it just didn't fit at all.
Yeah,
well, having a Scarface Joker is a cool idea, but that's not what they did.
They could have at least just have a scene where he's like, "Hey, can I get you a drink?" And he opens the fridge to get a drink, and there's just a severed head in there, and he doesn't grab it, he just opens it, and it's just there, gets a bottle, and closes the fridge again, and something like that, where you're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. It's
walk in a room, he's playing hacky sack with a head or something,
Yeah.
I don't in The Dark Knight Returns, both the comic and the animated film, which is set, again, years in the future, our first introduction of the Joker after he comes back into fruition, he's on a reality TV, he's on a talk show with the TV host, and he asks, I think, for a drink or whatever. He asks if he can keep this mug, and then he shatters the mug and slits a guy's throat. We get nothing like that in this movie. He shoots some people, he laughs, and the relationship between Joker and Harley has always been Harley is obsessed with the Joker. Harley's willing to change everything about her life. She's willing to get smacked around. It's a very abusive, it's a very horrible relationship. Yeah. But Joker does not feel the same way about Harley. He loves her, but he loves her in the way of like, oh, I can use her to get what I want kind of love. Yeah. Not in the way that Harley loves Joker.
I wanted to see that.
That's fine.
That's weird to say, I wanted to see her getting beaten up by Joker.
But Joker is not the kind of guy that they did kind of scene where he beat.
Like, I think it could have been a really interesting way to explore domestic abuse and abusive relationships and talk about something a bit deeper using these characters instead of just the mindless escapism that we got. And with the Joker's circle of knives, the whole time that scene was happening, I was like, God, the poor henchman that had to set up all those knives would have taken so long.
Yeah.
And like, but it doesn't make sense to have Joker scour the entire, and this isn't a spoiler, but his role is essentially just to look for Harley Quinn the whole movie, and that's not really, because I think that's in the trailer when it's in one of the trailers, and I don't think that that's not something the Joker would do, because the Joker is the kind of guy that, you know, will use Harley Quinn as a human shield and then check to make sure she's okay. Like, that's not, so I can't see that kind of, I can't see Joker being the Joker that he was in this movie. This was not the Joker. This was Bloody Ninja from Chappie. And I called it last April when that picture came out. I called it was going to be like that. No one believed me. I called it.
Like their relationship should be like, Joker breaks into Arkham to like, and she's like, "Oh, Puddin', you saved me." He's like, "Yeah." Now you do know the combination for the safe in the basement of Arkham, right? Let's go down and get it.
Yes.
And she's like,
exactly.
"I thought you were here to save me." He's like, "Of course I am, but yeah, just seriously, just do that."
It's like, yeah, but while we're here, we have
get
this
my
money.
stuff out of the safe. Like that's the real reason he'd do something, you know. And it's like Mr. Sunday Movies brought this up of like. Apparently all the stuff of like showing the abusive nature of their relationship was in an early test screening, but the audiences didn't like it, so they cut it all out. But he was saying it's like, sure, but if you follow the full arc of Harley's character, is she eventually overcomes that and leaves that abusive relationship. So it's fine to have it if that's where you're going with it, you know?
Exactly. And I just have a big problem with test screenings in general. I just feel like art shouldn't be tested and people should stand by something original. You know, filmmakers should be able to make the movie they want to make without a committee weighing in on it, because rarely does it make it better.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you'll have the. I mean, I'm okay with people saying, "Hey, take a look at this," just to see and just tell us what you think. Maybe don't use the general public's opinion when they vote on movies like Transformers to make $1 billion. It's just a random thought. Maybe just show them the movie and just say, "What? I don't know." Okay. Alicia, you have to go soon, don't you? We only have you for a few more minutes, yeah?
Yeah, just for another 5.
Okay, so how about we do our close up before we jump into spoiler talk here. What would you give it out of 10, Alicia?
I would give it probably like a 5 out of 10. You know, I thought it was okay, just disappointing. It could have been much better.
Right. All right. Well, what about you, Bandit?
I'd give it a little bit more. I'd give it about a 6 out of 10, and I'd maybe bump it to a 7 just out of my enjoyment off the lovely colours and all that kind of stuff. I know you hate that kind of stuff, Trey.
People were saying... Okay,
you're always like, hey, just because you have fun doesn't make it a good movie. I think it does.
Okay, here's my thing, right? I'm not saying that you can't enjoy movies. I'm just saying... People like to say that you can excuse a lot of the movie's flaws, and you can excuse if a movie's poorly made just because you had fun during it. I'm not saying that you can't have fun during a movie. Just don't say the movie's great just because you had fun. It should be the other way around. The movie should be fun because it's great. So, like it's a very thin line.
How about this? Brain switched on. 5 out of 10. Brain switched off. 7 out of 10. How about that?
All right. Well, tell you what. I'm gonna go 5.5. So we're not like completely disagreeing with each other. I'm kind of in the middle between the two of you. I think that what's David Ayer's original vision, kind of what we got in that Comic-Con trailer last year, I think is the best part of this film. This kind of team building, still comic booky action film.
Ben Affleck's great. Amanda Waller's great.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Viola Davis, just vicious as Amanda Waller. She's great, yeah. But overall, I think DC panicked, and it shows. I think they failed again. This has not been DC's year. If you count the animated Killing Joke movie, they've had 3 failures this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. They're very slowly catching up with what people actually want to see. Which, as I've always said, if they paid a bit more attention to online reactions, they'd learn a lot faster. I know that's not a perfect representation of general audiences, but it would help.
Marvel had 2 mess-ups in their step in the universe to a lot of people. Iron Man 2 and Incredible Hulk. A lot of people were kind of misfires from Marvel.
Yeah.
They have yet to really misfire since, in a lot of people's opinion. I think DC has one more shot, and if Wonder Woman is no longer going to be this World War I, different style film than what we've originally been getting, I think that if they change Wonder Woman in the 3rd act and just mash it all together and ruin the Wonder Woman, then I think we're done. Because right now, after this, I was still excited for the DCU after watching Batman and Superman. My excitement has definitely diminished quite a bit after this movie has been over. So if Wonder Woman fails, I might be done. I don't know if I can do this again.
I have such high and nervous hopes for Wonder Woman. The trailer looks fantastic. But then again, we know that doesn't mean anything because Batman looked amazing and Suicide Squad looked amazing as well.
Yeah.
But I really hope that that Wonder Woman works for a myriad of reasons. But please,
it's already done filming, so even if they do learn stuff from this, they can't incorporate it into reshoots or anything anyway, or it'll cost a ton of money. So they've really shot themselves in the foot.
They did that with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was just about done. They were in post-production. They went in and reshot a whole other cut using millions of dollars, and they put it together. But so they still have time.
Like you said, Trey, and then you, Alicia, both of you were like, I've noticed it feels like it's getting to the point where a lot of fans are kind of like, you know what, I don't think DC's ever going to be what I want, so they're starting to lose interest a bit. So I think DC really needs to get onto it. Hopefully they can turn it around with Justice League.
Maybe just let your directors make your movies. Let your directors make the movies they want to make. All right, and with that, I think we've just lost Alicia. I think she's got to go.
Do you want to shout out where people can find you, Alicia?
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, where can people find you on the social medias? Yeah.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Alicia Malone. I'm on Facebook, Movies Are My Jam, and YouTube is Movies Are My Jam as well.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have fun at a screening, whatever it is you're about to go see. Can you legally tell anybody what it is, or is it embargoed? Or
I'm going to go see Meryl Streep in Florence Foster Jenkins.
I've gotten so many passes to that. I haven't gone to it yet, but I've been invited. Go see this one. I'm like, I don't know what it's about, so I might check that one out later. There was a peach. Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's about an opera singer who's terrible, but I know Meryl Streep will be brilliant at it, so I can't wait. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, yes, of course. Thank you for coming on. We'll see you later, Alicia.
Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Right, well, we got
well, we got her briefly. That's cool. She's busy, isn't she? She's busy over there.
It was very. It is
Hollywood thinging.
It's been very hard to try to. It was like she's like a Pokemon. It was very hard to try to catch her for the time we had. But I was very happy that I didn't think we were going to get her for this 45 minutes. If I'm honest with you. All right. Well, do you want to just jump into spoilers? Here?
Yes, let's jump into spoilers.
Spoiler talk, Bandit. Let's get real nitty gritty into the spoilers.
Yes.
Why did Amanda Waller? Oh wait. Okay, wait. Give more time. People still, the kids haven't turned off yet. All right. Why did Amanda Waller really have to shoot people? That's not what Amanda Waller would do.
Yeah, I had a problem with that as well. And I had a problem that Rick Flag didn't have a problem with that.
Exactly.
Especially since
Amanda Waller.
He has a go at Deadshot for killing so many people, and then she kills all these innocent people, and he's like, whatever. That was really weird.
Amanda Waller is not the kind of person that would shoot somebody. If anything, Amanda Waller would get somebody in the room to shoot everyone else. But the person she would get to shoot the people is not someone you would expect would end up shooting someone. She would get someone who's not really typically violent to shoot people just to show everyone else in the room, yes, you're about to die, and I got this other person who would never do it to do it. That's the kind of person that I am. She's that good at what she does. And for a lot of portion of the film, she's like that. Viola Davis, I think she's great. You know, she's cold, calculated. She feels like Amanda Waller until she starts shooting people. I'm like, that's not it. I think that honestly is what kicks off the third act, kind of, is when they go and get Amanda Waller. That was a cool twist, I think, though.
But
reveal that they were...
that's the kind of reveal that you do if you're setting up for Amanda Waller to be the real villain in the end. But she's not. Yes. She comes out and she's like, yeah, okay, I'll give you all what you want. Well, then why'd you show her gunning all those people down? It's like, you're like, wow, she's really got no heart. Then you show her at the end, oh, she's got a bit of a heart. No.
Yeah.
No.
She's like the Wizard of Oz. She's like, leave. Fine, I'll give you what you want. I do think that I don't know. I feel like that they dropped the ball on so many things. I think there, like I mentioned in the non-spoiler talk, there were some Joker scenes that I feel like it felt very Joker. For example, when Harley falls into the acid and Joker starts to walk away, and then he gives this look of like I have to do this. That feels very Joker, where he gives this kind of look of like, fine, I go get her, and then I think that scene, that whole scene to me, when we get the flashback of Harley Quinn becoming Harley Quinn, I quite enjoyed that, even if it wasn't technically comic accurate, but I was okay with it. Yeah.
I wish they showed more of like their relationship and all that, and how I didn't get it. I was like, why is he torturing her? Because it seems like she's already brainwashed and totally devoted to him. So what's the point of that? Like, exactly. I thought from the trailers it makes it look like he breaks her mind by torturing her, but in that she's already totally devoted. So I'm like, why is this? Why?
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to have her be nervous about the torture and then have her be nervous about jumping into the acid, because I feel like you can either have one of the, you can either have the acid or the torture that turns her into Harley Quinn. I feel like I do like how they've confirmed that Killing Joke happened in this universe, though, with the ace chemicals and the acid. I don't know if you caught that, but that to me, that scene confirms that, like, okay, no, this Joker was turned into Joker via the chemicals and stuff. I liked all that. I liked that bit. It wasn't makeup.
I did like, though, that because she can't swim, doesn't she say that? She says she can't swim.
Yeah, she said.
So like when Batman's on the roof of the car, he crashes it in the water because Joker knows. Batman, he'll be able to get away because Batman will have to save Harley Quinn, because as we all know, Ben Affleck values human life, and he would have to save her because that's just the kind of Batman
I was telling my friends after we saw the movie, I was like, you can tell this wasn't a Zack Snyder Batman because this Batman didn't just shoot Deadshot's daughter in the face. Because I feel like that's what Snyder's Batman would have done. He would have been like, Daddy, don't, bah, bah, bah. It's like 1% chance that she's dangerous, absolute certainty. So But going back to the Joker bit with the car, another great Joker and Harley bit. That felt something like ripped straight out of the animated series. Like that whole exchange of, it's Joker, it's Harley, they're in a car, Batman comes in, gets on the roof, like everything. Oh, hit my mic. Yeah. Everything about that bit,
Daddy abandons her. All of that was right.
The laugh I thought was cool. Shooting the roof. I'm like, this is great. But then you have scenes like.
But see, it contradicts that he's trying to save her later on just because he loves her. Well, then why'd you leave her in the car? Clearly, if you leave her in the car underwater, you don't care. Then why are you bothering to save her later on? That Joker wouldn't care. He'd just be like, so what?
It's like, New 52 Joker, it's like, I'll find Walter Frey, I'll find another. It's like,
he'd be like that.
Yeah. Well, New 52 Joker does that to Harley. He tells her how he has a bunch of different Harley Quinns and how she's one of many, whatever. I think that's how that storyline goes. I could be wrong. But anyways, my point being is, there's a scene where Joker rescues her, where he hijacks the helicopter, and he starts shooting up the place, and you see him just firing a machine gun out of the back of a helicopter. That was very Joker. I quite enjoyed that bit. But at the same time, why would he rescue her if he left her to die? Yeah. I really hated the part where everything at the strip club esque area where Harley's stripping with that other lady, and then Common comes in, the guy with the tattoos on his face, come in and start talking with Joker. I hated all of that. I think that's the first thing of the Joker we get. I could not. that's what I was talking about. I was like, he's just kind of moving around and talking like this and putting the tattoo of the hand over his mouth because he's talking. Isn't that so edgy? I hated all of that. It was at that point that I noticed the damage tattoo on his forehead, and after I noticed it, I could not get it out. It was like like Christian Bale's eye wart. It's like Christian Bale's eye wart. Once you see it once, it's gone for it's there
once
forever.
You know it's there.
You could not. Yeah, once you know it's there, like Marion Cotillard or Miranda Tate when she gets that thing on her forehead. Once you notice, you can never unsee it. It's always there. And I feel like again, Jared Leto did not need to go as intense with the character as he did. It got very annoying. It got very irritating.
And also, again,
going back
with the stuff they cut out, the helicopter crashes, and he just magically reappears again. Like that, all that stuff in the trailer where you see it looks like half his face is like smashed up, and he's like biting and pulling the pin out of a grenade and disappearing in a smoke. That must have been a scene after he got out of the helicopter crash, where he was busted up from the crash. But they cut all that out, so you don't even know what happened.
I'm
so many missed opportunities. It could have been so great.
Yeah,
the pieces were there. It could have been so great.
Why is Harley Quinn's fantasy after she goes crazy to be a housewife with the Joker as her husband? Why is that her fantasy? If anything, her fantasy should be that she rehabilitates the Joker and it's her and the Joker, slowly working his way back to, not being crazy. I don't see how, because the Joker
that kind of was her fantasy in a way, though, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but the Joker, I feel like, I don't think, because it looks like she was like a housewife in the fantasy, and I feel like if she went to school for so long to become a doctor, she's working with all these criminals. I don't know that her fantasy would be her being a housewife as well. That's something else that I don't know. There's something about that, the way they did that, it just seemed weird. Also, Jared Leto kind of looked creepier as a normal guy than he did as the Joker. If that's just me, I don't know. It looks like this weird Joker-esque. He had this weird, it felt like the Joker was wearing face paint, if anything. Like the Joker was wearing, like, a Red Skull mask. Yeah. I don't know.
Jared Leto's not happy that they cut all his scenes out. Why would he be, after all the effort he put into,
apparently there's, like, 11
and it's all cut out. It was terrible.
It's, like, 11, but I feel like the Joker was in a lot more of David Ayer's cut. Yeah. And they just cut it out so they could put it on the
they were going after. That would have been so much better.
I thought that's what they were going to do because Assault on Arkham, that animated film, and that's my thing, DC, just do that. I think we've been saying that for a long time. Just do that animated film and just make it 2 hours long. Joker can be the main villain. Joker's messing things up, and whether it be Arkham or Gotham or Midway City, I don't care. Make Joker the main villain. That way, you can reintroduce the audiences to Joker again, because this is a weird way to get audiences back on board with the Joker. First of all, audiences are not used to hyper-stylized, kind of this weird, out-of-nowhere color palette where neon colors flash on the screen, and there's quick cuts, there's quick edits, and it's just the Joker. I don't know if audiences are going to latch onto this Joker because he's so out there, and he's so strange, and he's so unlike any other Joker you've ever seen, to the point where it's not really what the character needs to be. I don't know.
And you don't even know really what his deal is.
No.
Like with The Dark Knight, he's an agent of chaos.
Yes, like from the get-go, he's just this hurricane that just messes things up. But in this one, he's just kind of like...
Nicholson. He just wants to mess everything up.
Yes. Essentially, but in Jared Leto...
He seemed like he was trying to build a crime empire. I'm guessing.
I just got that he was horny and he wanted his woman back. Like that's all I got with this Joker. I'm just like, he just wants sex. It's weird because I feel like this Joker would have sex with a lot of other people. I don't know, and they even gave him some kind of gay undertones, which I guess could work if you're doing like Dark Knight Returns Batman, where he's a bit more flamboyant. Yeah. But that doesn't work when you don't. It really was only established through one scene. I feel like he was trying to do a lot of different things, and maybe it's because they cut a lot of his performance out, but. I just did not like this Joker at all, and people can yell at me all they want for saying that we've only seen 10 minutes of him, but then again, like I said, compare the mob boss scene with the Joker in Dark Knight to what Jared did in this entire film, and I think it evens up to about the same runtime-wise.
You know what, as well, like, in that scene you're talking about where he, like, sits on the dude's lap and it's a little bit gay, that's where he recruits that Arkham guard, who then hands Harley the phone, and she's like, oh, you are so screwed. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. It's like, was that cut? Or did they just forget they put that in?
I thought that was a nice bit. I thought that was a nice bit.
But you need to, if you set that up, you need to have Joker show up and
maybe
kill the
have,
guy. Or maybe that guy's like taunting Harley right before just Joker busts in at the end, and then he's just
I was gonna say, like, have that guy be at the wall when Joker busts in, have that guy send him flying across the room because Joker's just crashed through or something like that, or have Joker get out the building or get out the car and him be like, Joker, you're here, and then have Joker shoot him in the face. And that way you can kind of just, I don't know.
Then you can have him go, can't wait to show you my toys, which they never put in the movie.
They cut that out as well. Let's talk about instead of talking about what they cut from the film, let's touch on what they should have cut. And
I'm doing the enchantment movements.
Bandit's his body's twerking right now. Yeah, he's having a seizure. He's having some spaz. He's spazzing out. Yeah, I don't know why
into the movie. Come on, how did nobody go? Hey, Enchantress, you look like a nutcase, and not in the good jokery kind of way.
Could you stop doing that? I don't think the actress was doing that. I feel like she was just kind of standing around and they CG'd all the movements in later. I don't know. I feel like when she saw the final cut, she's like, "Do I really look like really? That's what we're okay. All right. Where's my paycheck? Oh, I'll take it. Never mind." Yeah, it's just I don't. And the CG on the brother character. My God, that's like PS2, like 2005. Like there's CG from 11 years ago that looks better than what we've got in Suicide Squad. I mean, like, you can go back and watch like Harry Potter and see some stuff, and then like that looks great. And then you watch like this giant weird lava fire monster with horns, and you're like, that looks awful. That looks like a video game from 10 years ago. The CG in this movie was a trick. You still there? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, sorry. You went silent. The CG in this movie ranged from decent effects to absolutely atrocious. Yeah, there was no standout CGI for me. Oh, man.
Well, except I think El Diablo, when he turned into the big fire demon, was pretty cool.
No.
It's probably the only good bit of that finale.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. See, I wasn't invested, so I didn't really care. It was just kind of effects. I mean, like... I do. What was a very cool effect was when she first turned into the Enchantress. That like hooked me right away.
Oh, you mean the
whenever
hand
she's like
sort of comes out and his fingers
like
and flips
over.
That was
that
great.
Was
that
awesome.
was really.
I was
good.
like, when I saw that, like people started clapping at theater. We were like, "That's really cool." I turned to my friend Christian, was like, "We need more of this." This is that. I feel like that was in David Ayer's version. I feel like David Ayer was like, it'd be cool, and what makes sense with the story. Like that's the difference between David Ayer and Zack Snyder directing wise. David Ayer, he does things like that in his films that are cool visuals that also find way to serve into the story. Not the other way around. It's not story that's being done because it looks cool. It's things that look cool because it's how it works in the story. Because clearly, I think from this movie, you can clearly see that I think David Ayer, can be a better storyteller than Zack Snyder, because even in what is apparently Zack Snyder's true vision of Batman v Superman is in no way perfect. It's a decent film at best. So I feel like David Ayer's true vision of this film was going to be something incredible. Yeah. All right. Well, what else you got?
It was like the brother that's barely in the movie, Enchantress's brother. He's this unstoppable thing, and El Diablo's fighting him, but he's taken out by a little bomb under the floor. Like,
I'm like, isn't he fire? How is it that confused me? I'm like, how is fire beat fire? Okay, yeah.
Well, it's like because El Diablo, he's melting his armor, so I thought, he's going to melt the armor so that the bomb can reach him. But then, like, the brother overpowers him, and sort of his armor regenerates again, and the bomb just goes off, and it's like, but he's protected in the armor again, right? Shouldn't it have gone off when his chest was open?
I was so out of it by that point, Bandit. I was just watching. It's like I'm just watching a bunch of CG fight some other CG.
Yeah, but and then there's this. And then there's. So.
Yeah, I guess.
You hated that again.
At least he was. I didn't really care. So I was just like, oh, he died. Right on. See. Yeah. But I feel like. Also, in the final fight, none of them really had anything useful to do, which further proves my point of why did you send the Suicide Squad after Enchantress? Not even from a story point, but from making a movie point. Why would you make Enchantress the villain of a Suicide Squad movie? Yeah, Enchantress is like a villain in like an actual superhero movie, not Suicide Squad. That's really stupid.
Yeah, again, just use the Joker. He's right there.
And the thing is, Bandit, I don't hate this movie. I don't hate this movie. I hate a lot of the choices they did, but overall, I think the movie's just really, really bland and dull, and a lot of missteps.
I don't hate it either. But...
You know, I was listening to the podcast Plumbing the Death Star, which again I recommend if you guys haven't seen that podcast, and they just like reviled this film. They tore it to shreds, and I do think should we briefly touch on the strange petitions that people are giving to try and shut down Rotten Tomatoes because people don't agree with their choice with
even though
aggregating
one of the owners of Rotten Tomatoes is Warner Brothers. So
at least for a good chunk.
They're somehow biased against themselves.
They still own. They don't own the website anymore, but they still do own stock in the site. So yeah,
and these people obviously don't understand. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't actually review anything. They get reviews from elsewhere and compile them together. You know? Yeah, they're the middleman essentially. You're shooting the messenger.
There's one critic. I think his name is Peter Travers. Yeah, Peter Travers. Yeah, who was a reviewer I look at a lot. I think he's a part of the Rolling Stones, big magazine online thing. And I think he called it worse than Fanforstic, which I don't agree with.
No, it's certainly not as bad as that.
I do think that it's wrong to simply say the critics got something wrong. I think that sentence and that statement is inherently flawed. Solely because I don't think it's your place to say whether or not, just because someone does not agree with what your opinion is, that they quote-unquote got something wrong. You can say you don't agree with it, but to say that, no, you're wrong, the masses and the general consensus is wrong because I don't agree with it. That's like saying that I think the people that like Jurassic World are wrong because I don't like that movie. If you like that movie, I really don't care. I just think it's a piece of trash. But everyone else does not think that. That's fine. Just because you don't agree with something, you shouldn't say something like, oh, I think the critics got it wrong. No, they just don't agree with you. That's fine. I feel like there's
also it's like, oh, okay, so you're gonna turn around and say, no, all these critics are wrong. Well, who appointed you, judge, jury, executioner of all that's cool? What makes your opinion infallible?
That's my and like.
But look, a lot of these guys, there's not really any traction behind this movement, is it? Like, because from what I see, it was just a couple of idiots online. Down.
I think it got upwards to like 17,000 signatures, but the guy eventually shut down the petition itself. So, I do think that there's this.
Stupid. The guy's an idiot.
It is.
You need film criticism to help improve film.
Yes, I think that there is this disconnect. I think we've had this debate before on the podcast between what counts and what does not count as a film critic. And I feel like, to me, and I've said this before, but my definition of a film critic, if you go onto a medium, whether it be the newspaper, online, in person, and you go out there and you give your opinion on a film, and for people to hear and for people to see, that makes you a critic of film. That doesn't mean that you still have to get paid for it. That doesn't make you an elite critic or someone that is looked into the critic space, like a Roger Ebert or a Gene Siskel or Peter Travers. But you're still in some way offering film criticism. The phrase film critic is not necessarily a bad thing. Just because you think of someone like from Ratatouille, you think of the word critic, does not mean that everyone that's a film critic is like that. Because in my eyes, Bandit, we are film critics. You don't have to think that yourself. That's fine. That's just how I look at what we do. We are critiquing a movie. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying.
Even when like one of your friends is like, "Oh, you saw Suicide Squad. What's it like?" and you're like, "Meh." That technically, then you're a film critic as well, just for saying that, So
well, yeah, but I think it's more of like if you go out there on a website or a YouTube video or something more than just word on the street or a YouTube comment. If you go out there and produce something that is to give your opinion on things, I think that makes you a critic of things.
Yeah,
and just because you're a critic doesn't mean you can't be a fan either.
Mark Kermode says that. He says, There's no like qualification for being a film critic. There's no place you go and they give you a certificate and you're a film critic. Just anyone can just say what they think about something. Art is supposed to be enjoyed and commented on by everyone.
And critics are fans of good movies. They don't have and to everyone that says that we don't like Suicide Squad because there's just this subconscious bias that Marvel has built into our brains somehow. That's not true, because I have come out and said things against the Marvel films, I've come out and said things against Marvel films. And I can tell you, I will be there to be honest with you if I do not like a Marvel movie.
Will we get a lot of backlash? I don't think we will. I think most people are I think on the same page.
When the initial reviews came out, a lot of people were saying that there's just this bias against DC from people like Marvel, and I don't know. I feel like there are things like that need to be said if there's any idiots out there that still believed that. But anyways, let's go back to the movie. Sorry, that was a side tangent. I had to get that off my chest. It's been building for like a week.
What do you think of the scene where Batman captures Deadshot?
Oh, I was going to get to that next. Yes, awesome. I loved it. As a Batman fan, as someone who, plays the Arkham games, has been reading Batman comics since he was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, as a Batman fan, me and my friends were all like squealing like little girls when like Deadshot turns into this alley and you just see like the bat drop behind him. I was like, everyone just kind of went, ooh, that's cool. And then, of course this is non-Donna Justice Batman, so he goes, I won't do this in front of your daughter. I was like, oh, that's great. That's classic Batman. And, like, it's great to see Will Smith about to shoot Batman in the face. That was really cool as well. Because, like, that was like, oh, hey, wait, no, he is still a villain. He is still a bad guy. I really loved that scene. I loved everything with Batman, especially that post-credit scene. People may not like that post-credit scene. I think it's really cool. Maybe it's a little redundant after the trailer. Yeah, sorry.
I thought that when he gets the vision where he imagines that he did kill him, and in the vision they pulled the sheet back, they should have made it that the bullet hole was in his eye, in Batman's eye.
Yeah.
Because when he points the gun at him in the alley, I'm like, he's bulletproof. So unless you're going to shoot him in the mouth or in the eye. So they should have made it that in the dream, Deadshot's such a good shot that he gets him in the eye, because that's like one of the few spots that isn't bulletproof.
Yeah. What did you think about the end credits scene? I think it's a step in the right direction, but what did you think?
Yeah, I guess I'm getting a little sick of every time Ben Affleck shows up, he's like, I'm putting a team together.
It seems like twice.
I know, but maybe it's because like Amanda Waller was saying that like 5 times throughout this movie. I'm just getting sick of people going, I'm putting a team together. It's like, yeah, we know. Shut up about it.
If the Justice League trailer was not out, I feel like people would be different about it. I think it does feel a little redundant now simply because that Justice League Comic-Con trailer was out. And I think it's because it came out and a lot of that trailer is Batman going, I need your help, I'm putting together a team.
Yeah, he says it to Flash, he says it to Aquaman, he said it to Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman like 2 times.
He only said that.
He says it again in this. It's like, we get it! Please stop saying it.
If you only said that once, I think you'd be a lot less. I thought it was really cool as a fan of these materials. I kind of didn't care, but I thought it was a cool step. It felt very, like, oh, Ben Affleck's down the Nick Fury. It was maybe it's more the fact that like DC actually did an end credit scene for the first time that I was more excited about. I was like, oh, they're finally giving us an end credit scene. I was like, yay, finally. I don't know. I feel like hopefully, I don't know. I'm really nervous. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about this whole DC thing anymore. Yeah. They've really killed all my enthusiasm for this franchise. Because I'm not excited for Wonder Woman.
They needed a minor course correction after Man of Steel. They didn't. Then they needed a major course correction after Batman v Superman. They've tried to do reshoots and change stuff in this at the last minute.
But it did need changes, apparently.
It ended up ruining what could have been a good movie if they had just stuck with what David Ayer wanted. So, they're going to try and make Justice League more jokey, but Wonder Woman's done now. That's set in stone. So who knows what that's going to be like.
No, it's not. No, it is not. Aren't they? Yeah, but they were done filming Suicide Squad, like I said earlier, and then they went in and reshot a bunch of stuff and put it in the movie. So and then they took other things out. So they could definitely. I would not be surprised if they went in and we heard Wonder Woman doing reshoots. Because apparently that's what happened with Rogue One as well. That's the reason we haven't gotten a full Rogue One trailer yet. Apparently Rogue One's kind of in trouble because Rogue One's kind of a mess from what I've heard.
Really? I heard that got debunked, that whole thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like...
They're saying 40% reshoot? Was that for Rogue One or something else?
That was for Rogue One. And they just announced that they brought in Tony Gilroy... I think that's his name. Who is a filmmaker, and they brought him on to help edit in the editing bay. But apparently Gareth Edwards is still there, but he's more in the background from what I've heard. I've heard Rogue One is kind of in trouble, which I'm nervous for. I don't think it's a coincidence that we have not gotten a full trailer for that film yet, and we're in August. I don't know. I feel like it's weird to me that we didn't get anything at Star Wars Celebration. We didn't get anything at Comic-Con. It feels something smells fishy to me. But I could be wrong. Movie could be great. But I feel like I've got a sense for it now because I called Spectre being bad. I called Batman Superman being bad. I didn't call Suicide Squad. I thought that was going to be great, but I also I don't know. I feel like we got I feel like we have a sense for this kind of thing now. So I'm kind of hedging my bets with one. But
do you reckon Wonder Woman, like, what could Wonder Woman do that would really drop the ball?
Ultimately, I think the thing we're worried about right now, which is have Gal Gadot not be a charming lead. If she's a ball of nothing and just kind of walks around and has the world react around her, then you've already failed as a movie. You failed at because not only is DC making the first Wonder Woman movie, they're making the first female-led superhero film ever, not counting Catwoman because she's technically an anti-hero. This is the first female-led superhero movie ever, I think, besides Supergirl. But like in the modern age of superhero movies, DC got in first. So if your lead is not a compelling lead, if your lead is not a good actress, if your lead sucks and is dry and does not have any charisma, she shows seeds of some charisma in that trailer. That ending line in the trailer I thought was okay, but if they fail to give us anything, then that's where they're going to fail. I think the biggest, because I feel like I have enough faith in the director, and hopefully the lesson DC learns in this is not to meddle with too much things. But then again, they didn't meddle much with Zack Snyder, and they did because they cut half the movie out. So maybe they should just learn not to meddle with the movie and just let people make the movies they want to make.
I don't know, I think Wonder Woman though, just like, because we're saying if they screw up Wonder Woman, then they're in trouble. But I'm trying to think. I don't know how they could, because it's kind of like, maybe it's just me. I don't really have any expectations of Wonder Woman. Because we've never got Wonder Woman movies before, so. Yeah. But I think that, like, really, like, if Wonder Woman is basically just a crappy remake of Captain America, where she comes to the Earth, she fights in World War One, she goes back to Paradise Island, there's some throwaway villain there she has a fight with. I think something like a boring story like that, with already a boring actress playing the character in a boring way, I think that's worst case scenario for them. Like,
I disagree.
I think they really need to get out there and do something interesting. Like, it would have been great if they combined the Wonder Woman solo movie and the Aquaman solo movie into one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or done something that, like, a rift to the Phantom Zone is torn open on Paradise Island, so there's, like, all these criminals, Kryptonian criminals and stuff pouring out of the Phantom Zone. You could have, like, a big Lord of the Rings battle versus on Paradise Island. All the Amazons versus all the criminals, That'd be great, something like that.
You just want to see Feora versus Wonder Woman?
I do.
You've been pushing that for a while.
You've
been pushing that for a long time,
Come on,
man.
That'd be great. How great is Feora in Man of Steel? She's
the best part of that movie, in my opinion, with the exception of that one.
The best part of the movie.
I love the way she fights and the do where she jumps. She's so quick that it kind of jump cuts. I love that. But Wonder Woman, I think your ideal Wonder Woman film is you get the first Avenger and you do that with Thor. You have the Shakespearean elements of Thor, and you. That just is
so boring.
Listen, I'd rather have samey, not necessarily boring, but I'd rather have samey good entertainment than trying to do something different and have it fail. Because I feel like they're trying to be so different from what everyone else is doing that it's bombing hard, and it's not. It's not working, It's not.
But when you're on the verge of destruction, playing it safe is not the way you come back.
No, but it's the way to get you off the verge of destruction. It's like
No, it just kind of keeps you on the verge of destruction. It doesn't.
It's like you're on the cliff and you have a broken ankle. You don't start hopping around. You tiptoe your way back off. You don't. You have to make sure, because if they try doing something crazy and different, like. When I say Thor, I mean in the way that you can go more fantastical elements. You can have her fight monsters and stuff. That's cool. But I'm not saying do a fish out of water storyline. I'm saying keep it a kind of Shakespearean fantastical era thing, or just do what they did in the New 52 run that they did a couple years ago. That'll do fine. I am nervous for Wonder Woman though. Here's hoping that Gal Gadot can win us over as an actress, because I feel like we're in the minority right now. Because even Alicia Malone felt that she said she was very excited for the Wonder Woman film. A lot of people feel like Wonder Woman stole the show in Batman Superman. I think the character did. I'm not sure the actress did.
Look, a lot of women are really looking forward to seeing Wonder Woman. Not surprisingly. So
yeah.
I guess
Okay.
I guess it doesn't matter if we don't like it because we're not the target audience.
I thought that was gonna go somewhere. I'm happy it didn't, Bandit. So good for you. I thought you were just like start like attacking a female demographic on the same episode we got Alicia Malone. That's bad for us.
No.
Oh man. No. I mean, hopefully this film is good, and that can get studios, because if the film sucks, that Captain Marvel, I feel like, has to be great. Because if this sucks and then Captain Marvel is just okay, which probably won't be because it's Marvel, it's going to be probably great. I'm really worried about the female-led superhero films. In the same way we're not going to get a Batgirl animated film for a long time because they dropped the ball on that. I'm nervous if this film sucks, we're not going to get anything. I thought they're going to push Wonder Woman to the back, kind of like they did Superman in the Justice League promotions. He's not front and center. Wonder Woman is. Anyways. Anything else you have in Suicide Squad? Or should we...
yeah. Like, I didn't like that Rick Flag still got the girl at the end, where you think Enchantress is dead, but she comes back to life. No, this is a movie of the bad guys. Okay, the bad guys don't get the girl at the end.
They say that like 80 times. It's like, we're the bad guys. Remember, we're the bad guys. Stay evil. We're bad guys. Hey, remember, you think we're guys? No. Bam, we're bad guys. Hey,
that's why I was so pissed off that she's still alive. I was like, if ever there's a movie where you can get away with, no, you don't get the girl, it's in a movie like this where they're all supposed to be bad guys. But oh no, she's still there. Blah, blah, blah. Weak. Shame on you. And also, the bit where I actually thought it was going to take a real interesting turn is when Harley Quinn goes, yeah, you know what? We'll join you. And of course you can kind of tell that she's setting her up for, a trick. Mm-hmm. But part of me was like, oh my God, wouldn't this be awesome if if they actually do team up with him and like something happens? Because I was like, that would have redeemed the whole movie for me if something really unexpected like that happens.
They went back to jail. Like, that's my thing. Like, I think my biggest problem is when they went back to jail. I'm like, no, that's not how that would go.
Off their sentence as well.
No, that's not how that would go. They all run. They all get away. Like, that's not how that goes. They don't go back to jail. They flee. They pull a Captain Boomerang and get out of there. Yeah, that was a great bit when he's like, you're free to go, and Boomerang just takes off.
He just runs off immediately. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. That was great. And then he comes back
until he magically reappears. Come on.
Yeah, he just walks back in the frame. I'm like, right on. Like, maybe have a scene where Boomerang's trying to get away, and then he sees a bunch of like the weird like zombie things, and he's just like, and then it cuts to him like shuffling back into the crowd. Like, maybe that to me works better than him like just, oh, I've never coming back.
Or if you want to set him up as the guy who's always betraying everyone, you have him run out, he disappears, you don't see him again. Then at the final battle, like Katana or someone is about to die, and then all of a sudden, Boomerang in the side of the neck saves their life, and he's like, "All right, yeah, I came back." That's how you bring him back. You don't just do it. They walk out the door, and he's like, "Okay, I'm back."
Yeah, he can save somebody, and you could save somebody, and then you can have him like a jump cut. It's like, why did you come back? It's like, I had a change of heart. And then you could do a jump cut to a scene where he's trying to flee the city, and like there's something blocking his way, and he clearly can't fight his way out of the city. He's like, and then it cuts back, yeah, I had a change of heart. And in reality, he just needed help getting out of here because he couldn't do it alone. That works better. That works a lot better than having, because that way they're all still the villains and they're all still working for their own agenda. Because that's what they all do. Because they're the bad guys. Even Deadshot is the bad guy. Deadshot is in many ways the quote unquote best good guy, but he still kills people. He just has a really sweet daughter, but he's still a villain.
He only ever kills bad people. Remember?
Sure.
He should have been like Jason Bourne, where he's killed lots of innocent people.
Oh, Jesus,
I mean the good one, not the one from the last movie.
Just grabs a pen and just it starts throwing pens at people and just,
rolls up a paper towel, kills someone with it.
Rolls up a paper towel,
newspaper.
Gets a roll of bouncy paper towels and just like starts shivving a guy with it. Oh god!
Take a shoe, cut someone's head off with it.
Shoves a Tic Tac down someone's throat so they can choke on it. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Anything else?
Someone with their own tie.
Gets an iPod controller.
How is Enchantress 6,000 years old and falls for the oldest trick in the book, where Harley's like, yeah, I'll be your friend so that I can walk over to the sword that's very clearly on the ground here. And they set up that sword that it takes people's soul. You never see it take someone's soul in the movie. Not even the main villain. She just cuts the chest open and they rip the heart out.
Maybe that's what, and maybe you can have a bit where she gets the sword and tries swiping that, and you just see her hand freeze, kind of like what Kylo Ren would do, like the hand would freeze, and then you just kind of see the sword just like, I don't know, like teleport somewhere, or like have the sword like stab somebody because they're the Suicide Squad, so someone probably should die again. So have it maybe stab somebody, I don't know, and then in that way, and then you have to find another way to, I don't know. I feel like there's so many different ways you could tweak this film and just fix it.
You know what I did think, though? Like, as well, about halfway through, I thought about it and I thought, wouldn't it actually be really cool if, in the end, it turns out that... Because they're always like, we're the Suicide Squad, we're the patsies, we're the ones that don't matter. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if it turns out at the end that the way that the villain gets defeated actually has nothing whatsoever to do with them? Like, like they're losing the fight and Batman shows up at the end with like a Phantom Zone projector and just like shoots him and like sucks Enchantress into it and is like, thanks for keeping him busy, guys. This took a bit longer. Or like Amanda Waller was just using them to keep her busy while she was figuring out some other way to get rid of Enchantress, you know? Or like that would have been great because they're the patsies.
It's like, and then
they don't save the day. They don't know what's going on, you know?
Deadshot could say, oh, so we're just a distraction, and everyone's just like, yeah. It's like in Rick and Morty when they take Jerry to that daycare, and he thinks it's like a prison, but then they could have always just left. Like that episode of Rick and Morty where he's like, I'm leaving, and they're just like, yeah, you could have always done that. Or it's just kind of, they just kind of have this sense of them just kind of being useless. That does work a lot better than them having to be the heroes and have this long 2-hour slow motion scene involving a grenade and a gun. Right. Oh my god, that going for 3 minutes too long.
It'd actually be like, you know, there was that Seth Rollins movie, Green Hornet?
Yes.
They
Seth
do a
Rogen,
great switcheroo like that at the end where he records the bad guy making this confession onto a USB and then he accidentally deletes all the information off the USB. And at the very end, it's this big shootout where the bad guy's got all these henchmen, this corrupt politician's got all these mafia henchmen shooting the place up trying to get the USB back, and he puts it in the computer and it says all erased, and he's like, oh. So what do? They just get in their car and they just ram into the guy, just drive him out the window and just crush him. And it's like, yep, problem solved.
Yep, that's how you do that.
It could have been a great, like, they could have done something like that. You know, Suicide Squad are like, let's come up with this idea, we'll set the bomb, then we'll get in there, and like all of that fails, and then just, you know, Batman or someone, Phantom Zone projector, ray gun.
Or like you have a bit. Well, like you have a bit where like they're making the plan, they're figuring out, you know, they're working together as a team because that's what they should do, and they're working out how to defeat the Enchantress, and then you just have the camera pan over and Batman's already taking care of it. just don't show how Batman's done it, and it's just taken care of, and Batman's just, and they're just like, what? Back in jail, wrap up the movie, Joker gets Harley Quinn, movie over.
See, that would have been
That's
great,
what I would
wouldn't
do.
It? No one's ever done that before in a movie like this. You know?
Yeah, well, Mockingjay tried to do that and it still failed because it was boring.
Oh god, yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, but I like you could just do something like that to where it's like, oh no, Batman took care of it. Don't worry about it. It's over. Like that to me works more than having this like they all have to fight together, stop this giant blue light in the sky. No.
Yeah,
this is what Batman does.
It would have been fine if they had nothing to do to stop the blue laser, because we've seen the heroes stop the blue lasers a million times before. So this would be cool to like see it from the perspective of the patsies on the side, who are just sort of fighting on the fringes, doing whatever, and they have nothing to do with turning off the portal.
Like, and then everyone's like, well, what do we do to stop this? And
like,
Amanda Waller's,
that's his job.
Amanda Waller's like, well, I guess you guys could help clean up, and just like, what? It's just like them, like, you know, picking up. Oh, I just kicked my mic. It's like them, like, you know, picking up bricks and stuff, just kind of helping clean up the city. It's like, there, 10 years off your prison sentence. Go back to jail. Man.
So, did Killer Croc have an arc?
He got his BET. That's all that matters. He got his TV. He got his black girls twerking. That's all that matters. I think that was his arc. His arc was that. I guess he learned to not eat people. But I feel like he still would eat people because eventually.
Because he delivered the bomb, But it's like it was him and Scott Eastwood, wasn't it? That guy who was Clint Eastwood's son. They were the ones who were delivering the bomb, but Scott Eastwood blew up from the bomb, didn't he? And Croc just sort of fought off the henchmen, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he didn't even like sacrifice himself like El Diablo did. So he was just kind of there.
But then again, him and Boomerang were just kind of there. Katana was just kind of there,
Why
too.
was she in the movie? She had nothing to do.
I don't know. Nothing to do. I feel like she has more to do in David Ayer's cut. I'm so sick of having to pay $40, in theory, pay $40 for a movie. Just give me the movie you want to give me and put it in the theater. I'm so sick of watching the Ultimate Edition, watching the director's version of this movie. Maybe give me the director's version in theaters. I don't want to watch the Suicide Squad Ultimate Edition. I don't want to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I want to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad in the theaters. I'm so sick of paying my $15 to see the movie in theater and having to theoretically definitely not pirate it, but definitely pay my $20 to see it on Blu-ray as well. I feel like there needs to be. Let me just get my one movie. I don't want to keep watching two movies. Bandit, I'm sick of watching two movies, man. I don't have to do that anymore.
Well, the only other thing I've got written down here is after the whole thing where Amanda Waller at the end is like, "You look tired. You should stop working nights." I thought, okay, so she knows he's Batman.
Yeah,
let's just see.
I'd like that.
How many people now know that he's Batman? She knows he's Batman. Lex Luthor knows he's Batman.
Yeah. Supes knows he's Batman. Wonder Woman knows he's Batman. Well, that's not too far off than what happened.
Batman, because she
does
saw
she?
his face when half his mask was ripped off. She would have recognized.
Like a sliver of his mouth. His eye and his cheek was exposed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she knows fully. I think she knows someone named Martha's son. She clearly knows that there's some. She could figure it out, but that's not too far off from who people who had known the comics. I mean, it's always, Lex Luthor, I feel like, is always the kind of person that figures it out. I don't think does he ever figure out that Superman is Clark Kent? I feel like the thing with Lex Luthor is that that's a tangent we don't need to go on, but never mind. Yeah. Point being,
the logic of that is he doesn't believe Clark Kent is Superman because he thinks it's too obvious.
Like, why would this kid from Smallville aspire to be something as great as Superman? Yeah.
And he also doesn't believe, that Superman could come from the same town as him. Right, sort of thing and all this. So.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. But Amanda Waller, so she knows that she's Batman. Again, I quite like the post-credits scene just because it's nice to see. That to me, I'm like, okay, DC. I feel like that was always supposed to be in the movie. I feel like they didn't just add that in. I feel like that was kind of always meant to be there. Mm-hmm. This to me shows that DC, they're in some cases they're really trying to get there. Like, I don't understand. Like they started the reshoots. They brought on Jeff Johns to do this overhaul. Maybe Jeff Johns is there now to tell DC, because originally we thought he was there to tell Zack Snyder to calm down whenever they're making all his dumb choices. Maybe he's there to tell DC to calm down when they're making all their dumb choices and Warner Brothers and whatnot. Maybe he's just there to be like, guys, please. Like, they're just like, what if Wonder Woman made a joke? No, just let Patty Jenkins make the movie she wants to make. They're like, but that's not going to make money. Yeah, it will. People will see a good movie. I promise. I don't know. I feel like DC's. I'm sad. I'm just sad.
It really, it does sap your enthusiasm for the upcoming movies, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It really does.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but I want to enjoy DC movies. I do. One last thing. Do you reckon there's any more basis to believe that the Joker is Robin?
I think you still can interpret it that way, but I'm pretty sure it says in Harley Quinn's files that she was the one that killed Robin in this version, which I kind of like.
There's a really great twist that they totally ruined. Okay, well, I guess they can't do that then.
You wanted the Joker to be Jason Todd?
Well, that would at least explain why Batman doesn't want to kill him.
Absolutely not. No, that's awful. That's horrible. No, that's all wrong. No, that ruins the fundamental ideal of the character. No. Absolutely no.
Yeah, but then why would else is ruined in this universe, so what difference does it make?
Well, then you're just ruining one more thing. They haven't ruined the Joker yet, kind of. They still have a way to redeem the Joker, kind of. So don't turn the Joker into Jason Todd, because in that case, why is the Joker not? Because the Joker always has his obsession that he doesn't want to kill Batman.
But
Jason
Todd
would want to kill Batman
in this universe. That's not how it works.
No. Well, we're still young in the univer's.
No,
all right,
we're
Marvel's
We're
third
3
movie was
movies in.
Marvel's third movie was Iron Man 2. I think I'm. Look, Bandit. The last thing I can't give up all hope yet. Okay, let me at least watch Wonder Woman first,
look,
please.
I don't want to give up all hope either, but yeah.
You did. You gave up hope before Batman Superman even came out. I remember that video you said where they catch us the iceberg. You're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done.
See, the reason I got back on board is they had that one trailer that kind of seemed good.
The Comic-Con trailer where you're
and
like,
I thought
that
maybe
looks
this will
great.
be good, but no, my initial instinct of giving up hope was correct because that movie sucked.
But you can't trust the trailers anymore now because all the trailers have been great. Then again, I still really enjoy Man of Steel, so maybe we can get them like that again. I don't know. All right. Do you have anything else on Suicide Squad, or should we move on?
But look, a lot of this they can fix by probably just firing Zack Snyder, and why they haven't yet is just a mystery to me. Maybe he's under contract, so they can't.
I don't know if it's his fault entirely.
Entirely baffled that they still have that guy on their payroll. Why? Has he not been fired yet? I don't know.
You can't fire the director 2 days before they start making the movie. Yeah. Otherwise, you're pushing back Justice League like a year, maybe at best.
Well, whoever negotiated that contract for Zack Snyder should get a raise because that was a good scam. Making
3
them
movies.
Commit to all those movies in such a short time, so they can't even fire him, no matter how much he tanks everything.
I don't think this is entirely his fault.
But this is a big problem for Warner Brothers because
I do think that there is no coincidence between seeing a bad movie and then seeing the thing produced by Zack Snyder in the credits. Though I do think there is a connection there. But this is not one of those year.
But this is I think the good elements of this are good, probably because Zack Snyder was less involved. If he was involved, I just don't believe we would have got.
Just let him be a cinematographer. Let him shoot movies. He's a really great filmmaker. But boy, does he suck at storytelling. I don't know how we came back to having the same conversation that we had back in March. I don't know. Oh man, I swear if we have this conversation again next June when Wonder Woman comes out, I don't know how. Oh man, all right. I'm done. I can't. Anything else?
No, I think that's everything I got.
All right, guys. Well, then that was Suicide Squad. All right.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, guys. Let's do the listener question portion of the show, in which case we take your listener questions that you post on the Facebook page, Twitter, anyone else. For starters here, we've got Christopher Ryan. Great name, Mr. Ryan. What is your favorite superhero movie suits? I think we'll also go designs if you want to go designs.
So I don't know. What do you reckon's a good suit?
I really enjoy Christian Bale's suit from The Dark Knight, just because it was the first suit where Batman could turn his head, and I love how they commented on that, of how he's always had to kind of keep his shoulders straight and like turn his whole body around when he had to go turn around and talk to somebody. I really enjoy that suit. I'm also very biased towards that film. But I think my favorite Iron Man suit is definitely the one from the Avengers. You know, the one where when he gets chucked up the building and the suit catches his wrist and puts it on him as he's falling down. I love that suit, the Mark 7. I also love Captain America's suit from the Winter Soldier. That kind of stealth suit.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, because that one's kind of more tactical. Special forces kind of thing.
It's kind of hinting towards his future as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because that's the suit that he wore when he led S.H.I.E.L.D. In the comic books.
I didn't know he gets that, yeah.
Oh, sorry, spoilers. If they're ever going to go that far, I'm pretty sure he's going to die in Infinity War. But so I like that suit. I think he also has another question here, Christopher Ryan, that I think is another great one. What's your favorite comic book story?
It's got to be Watchmen.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Watchmen is really great.
It's a work of art.
Am I the only one that doesn't like the giant squid? I feel like I'm the only person that doesn't like. To me, it doesn't fit with the rest of the story. But
I
don't know. because they hint towards people having superpowers in the novel more than what they do actually say in the film. It's more explicitly said that they all kind of have abilities, but in the comic it's more just said that they're all kind of just like vigilantes. But
yeah, the change in the movie actually works a lot better from the watching the movie, where they make it that it's made to look like Dr. Manhattan did it. Made much more sense, because the whole premise of that story is like, what if these guys existed in the real world? So everything is kind of grounded as if it's the real world, until all of a sudden there's this giant squid tentacled alien thing, and you're like, what? It's just that totally shatters that whole thing.
And I know, you know, it's iconic and it's a part of the novel, but certain things, even if it's iconic, doesn't mean it has to be great. But I do really like that story. I'm also very close to The Dark Knight Returns. I love that story. I think it's a great, you know, pseudo 80s story. You know, Conan O'Brien, Ronald Reagan. You know, I love the Joker in that story. The Batman Superman fight, of course, is iconic. I think in terms of some of the more recent comic books, Death of the Family is a great storyline. That's a storyline where Joker gets his face torn off, and we meet that kind of Joker. But I think the sequel to that, it's Batman Endgame, is a fantastic storyline. If none of you guys have read that one, you know, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's kind of a modern day Killing Joke in a sense of what happens when Batman and the Joker kind of have one of their final confrontations. And I think it's one of the greatest Batman stories in my opinion, just because it does so much and it's so layered, and like the way the Joker is just, you think he's a monster, but then you see what he is in this novel, and it's insane. But yeah, all Batman stuff for me. Yeah. Civil War is great too, but that's kind of whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Question here from Ben Berkowitz. What's the worst film hangover? Brackets, enjoying a film initially but hating it the more you think about it you have ever had. He says, mine would be Indy 4. The Hangover was pretty bad for Indy 4, I gotta admit. Not that I really enjoyed the movie as much either, but worst movie hangover. It's got to.
I usually have reverse hangovers where I'm like, oh, the movie sucked, and then I start enjoying it more as it went along. Like I was that way with Winter Soldier. I didn't like it when I first saw it, and now I love that film. But
Phantom Menace was a real bad hangover, but I guess. Well, the question is, you had to enjoy it at the time, and I didn't really enjoy Phantom Menace at the time. I was just kind of really confused.
You were like, I think I like it?
This
yeah.
It is Star Wars, but it kind of doesn't seem like it, you know?
Oh.
I was very confused.
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, yeah.
I unabashedly love that film still, but at the time, I absolutely am like, that movie's perfect. It has no problems. But, you know, I was 12 years old. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, no, that movie definitely has a lot of problems. I can still explain to you how Batman got into Gotham, but I've already explained that multiple times on the show. So if you still have questions, just, you know, tweet me. But I can explain that to you in one sentence. It's called Tunnels. Anyways, but yeah, Dark Knight Rises, you know, how did Bane not go after Alfred if he knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman the whole time? And you know, there's certain things of just that just did not make sense. And clearly, Nolan wanted to do this big kind of rousing, epic Return of the King-esque finale to the Batman trilogy, and it didn't need to be that. It didn't need to be this big grandiose story. I think it's better if you kept it personal. But I still really love that movie for all the things it does filmmaking wise. I think the ending. I think the last like 10 minutes of that movie is fantastic. But whatever. Yeah, Dark Knight Rises is my answer. All right. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Ryan Farr, again, great names, guys. He asks, what are some properties that you like to see adapted into a film?
What are some properties?
Yeah, like any kind of property or book or anything. Yeah, any IP.
I feel like we've had this question before.
Have we? Then we'll move on. Sorry, Ryan.
Sorry. Yeah,
okay,
I think we might have handled that last week, didn't we? You know.
All right. Well, if we did, then my quick answer is Batman Endgame. That like I said earlier.
Yeah, I think I said like Red Dead Redemption. I'd like
to
see
yeah,
that.
yeah, we did. We had done this question for us. Sorry, Ryan. My bad. It all kind of melts together.
There's one here. Tom Quirk, best and worst movie fight scenes in a movie or TV show. Now, I was actually, because you know I do those Who Really Won the Fight videos.
Yeah.
And a couple of people said, "Oh, you should do all the Neo versus Smith fights." So I was like, "Oh yeah."
No.
And when I rewatched like the Neo Smith fights in the second and the third movie, I was like, "Oh God, they go on for so long, and they're so, especially the third one, that's got to be the worst. So long and so boring, that fight scene.
Two's all cartoony and jumpy and weird rubber,
him
fighting weird
fighting
rubber
millions
Smiths.
of Smiths. That's fun initially. It just goes on way too long. And I know the idea of the fight scene is they just keep throwing more and more and more. So the idea is you can't handle them hand to hand, so he has to get a big iron bar. Can't handle that, so he needs to try to make a run for it. I get that, but it just went on way too long.
Yeah, I think in terms of some of the best fighting we've got, the Raid films, obviously. The Raid films. I don't think I've seen the second one, but that first one is they do. I think there was this one thing where this guy he's running through a hallway and he jumps, wall jumps and then kicks a guy down and then flips the guy into another guy. It's insane what they do in those movies. Daredevil, obviously the Netflix series, they have some crazy fights in that. But I ultimately think my favorite fight in any movie ever, I really love that highway fight in The Winter Soldier. Everything about that shootout and that fight, you think, oh no, Black Widow's in trouble, and then it's like, ba-ba-da-dum, and Captain America comes running in and starts fighting. The airport fight in Civil War is great because of the characters, but in terms of the overall fighting and the intensity, if I would ever make a movie, I would strive to make a fight scene as intense, as well choreographed, and as shaky cam, but still really well seen as that fight scene in Winter Soldier. It's either that or the Church and Kingsman. There's those two are some of the best fights I've seen in quite some time in terms of a movie.
Yeah,
I love that fight.
He's there's so many fight scenes that I like, but here's a couple that kind of fly under the radar. I mean, of course, the 6-minute long alley fight in They Live is fantastic, just because it goes on for so long that it's hilarious. Because it keeps escalating and escalating and escalating, and it's great. Check it out on YouTube if you can. The alley fight and They Live. Another really great one that sort of slips under the radar is Passenger 57. Wesley Snipes has a fight in the end of that with generic evil terrorist British guy, and they're beating each other up in this plane, and gun goes off and all that thing happens in the plane where and all the air's getting sucked out, and Wesley Snipes kicking him in the head over the top of the chairs, and the guy gets he grabs one of those breathing masks and rips that out, and he's strangling Wesley Snipes with it, and Wesley Snipes kicks him in the balls. That's how he defeats him. He kicks him in the balls so he flies out the door. That's really cool. Have you seen that, Passenger 57?
Not.
Yeah. It's a really great fight scene there. Another really great fight scene. All the ones I like are not fancy stylized. They're just real brutal. Not Escape from New York, the sequel, Escape from L.A. Kurt Russell, who plays Snake in that, he has this showdown where it's sort of... Do you know anything about Escape from New York or L.A.?
I know bits and pieces. I know the basic plot. Yeah,
sure. Okay. Well, for anyone who doesn't, it was one of those Mad Max sort of spin-off things during the 80s, where there were all these punk street gangs in this, and all of LA has been sealed off as basically a war zone where they just chuck criminals in. It's like a giant Alcatraz type thing, LA. So anyway, he has to go in there to get some info that the crime lord there has that the corrupt government wants, blah 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 blah. But the fight is between Kurt Russell and this Colombian kingpin sort of guy, and it's kind of like one of those fights over the device, where they punch each other and each one scrambling to grab it, sort of thing. But it's so good. It's so good because it's not fancy and it's just real brutal. In movies, if one of them's if the hero's usually been shot in the shoulder or something, the bad guy will shove his thumb on the wound. In this, Kurt Russell's been shot in the thigh, so he's kind of got a tourniquet, and he comes in on a glider because they're machine gunning all the bad guys with these gliders. And he comes in with the glider, and the bad guy's running away, and he rams into him with the glider, and he unhooks himself from the glider, and the bad guy jumps up and runs and tackles him to the ground. He gets him into a headlock, and he starts elbowing him in the leg where his bullet hole is, and he's lets him go. And then he goes out and he actually bites him on the bullet hole on his leg.
Oh, jeez.
And Snake's and it's really good.
Oh man,
And it just
I
ends
got it.
with like they're like choking each other out, an explosion throws them apart, and they both kind of like come to, and the device they're both looking for is sort of in the middle, so they're both like crawling towards it, and Snake just like he grabs it first, and then they're both like kind of like trying to rush to get to their feet straight up, and Kurt Russell, he gets to his feet first, and he just goes boom, and he just kicks him right in the face. It just knocks him out, and I was like, yeah, that's the coolest fight scene ever.
Brutal.
Not anywhere on YouTube. I don't know why, because it's a fantastic fight scene. Really hard to find, but it's great.
All right. That sounds... I need you to describe action movies more, because like the way you described that, and then you like Death Proof a couple weeks ago, like you just know how to describe a good fight scene in the movie. All right. Well, there you go. Okay. All right. So Liam Twahig asks he says, if we see Harvey Dent in the new DC universe, can we trust him? Harvey Dent. Can we trust him? No. Here, I think a better question would be...
Harvey Dent.
You don't want to see Harvey Dent again?
I just reckon they'll ruin it. What do you reckon?
I think that I don't know. I think if you give it to Ben Affleck, then I think he'll do a fine job. Then again, DC will just come in and be like, actually, let's make it like this, and then they'll, yeah. But no, I think
Warner Bros. will let him. The ventriloquist. That's a Batman villain we haven't seen in live action. Just a guy with a ventriloquist dummy going, I run the mafia somehow.
I think if you do cast Two-Face, I would cast what's his face, the guy from Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones. I would cast him as Harvey Two-Face. I think he'd be a great Two-Face. I get to see it. I don't know. Oh man. Anyways,
remember in Tim Burton's Batman, the very first one, there is Harvey Dent in that. And
Billy Williams.
Yeah, it's Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
So that would have been interesting.
Yes, yeah. That doesn't really go on. They went Tommy Lee Jones in the third one. Yeah. All right. Do we have any questions on Twitter? Did you check Twitter? I can check Twitter if you want. I can pull up here on my phone. Oh, all right. Never mind. All right. Never mind. Sorry, Twitter.
We get like one question every 2 weeks on there, so it's fine.
All right.
We can always cover it next time. If you have commented on Twitter, don't worry, we will get to it.
No, Bandit hates you. All right. So okay. Chase Berry.
I was going to pick that one too, Chase Berry. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Why don't you go? You can read it.
Oh, okay. Superhero movie with the worst studio editing. Examples.
Oh,
Suicide Squad, BVS, Iron Man 2, or The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I noticed he didn't mention Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like your prime example nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe because that's too easy, so maybe that's why.
Out of those choices, does he want us to choose out of those choices? Because out of those choices, I'm trying to find the question right there. So
I don't think the editing in Iron Man 2 was that bad. I think the story was the problem, not so much the editing.
It's kind of a movie where nothing happens and then it sets up the Avengers. That's kind of what Iron Man 2 is about.
But
in other words,
who would make
not
as bad as some of the other ones on that list. Like Amazing Spider-Man, BVS, Suicide Squad were worse than Iron Man 2 in terms of editing.
I think that, speaking going back to DC and Batman and Superman, if you wanted to have like your Joker where he's kind of more, if you still want to have kind of your Jesse Eisenberg-esque Lex Luthor, who should play Lex Luthor? You should get Sam Rockwell to play Lex Luthor. I think he'd be a great Lex Luthor because he's got the cockiness, but he's still Sam Rockwell. He's in Iron Man 2. I think he's also in Galaxy Quest, and he's in Moon. He's I think he'd be a great Lex Luthor. I think he's got the charisma, but he's still kind of smarmy in the sense of like he feels like a sleazy kind of guy. Yeah. If you want to make Lex Luthor like that, if you don't want to get Bryan Cranston essentially, then just get Sam Rockwell. But it's too bad because we have Jesse Eisenberg.
People might be saying, but hey, he's probably as small and as skinny as Jesse Eisenberg. Doesn't matter. That actor's one of those guys that's a chameleon.
Yeah, Seven Psychopaths.
They can do pretty much anything, and they're going to be good.
Have you seen Seven Psychopaths? That movie's incredible. If you guys haven't checked that movie out, I think it's him, Colin Farrell, Woody Harrelson. I think not John Malkovich, but some of the other guy from Argo. I think he's in it too. Great movie, but that's neither here nor there. Answering Chase Berry's question, obviously, the answer is it has to be Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You think the editing in that was worse than Batman v Superman with the weird dream sequences that have no transitions and they just pop in out of nowhere?
Well,
all of
I
a
think
sudden,
the
Mad Max walking through an apocalypse.
The question isn't editing. The question is studio meddling, and I think in terms of studio meddling, because even if you watch the director's cuts, the director's cut of Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder's version that they took from the theater, unless we think about it, unless we're on a different question, is the one Chase.
Oh, you're right.
The
It is studio meddling. Why did I think it said editing? Maybe just
editing
the edling
like
bit. I thought editing. Okay.
In terms of what's
then it's
worse,
not a contest for me. It's Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's
absolutely
studio meddling. Like Batman v Superman, the studio didn't meddle with that. That's 100% Zack Snyder.
The studio kind of meddled with it. they kind of meddled with things. They cut out half
Iron Man
an
2.
hour.
I don't think there was much meddling going on. It was just the filmmakers were enjoying making what they thought.
Oh
was a
no,
good
they
movie
definitely
and it wasn't
rushed. They definitely rushed Jon Favreau to get that movie into production. He definitely He definitely needed more time to make the movie, and they told him no. Marvel's learned, but they've learned their lesson though. And they haven't really done that much until Age of Ultron. So, I still really like Age of Ultron though. But I think Iron Man 2 is still an okay movie. I think the only truly trash film that they've done is Iron Man 4. So, anyways, yeah, I made Spider-Man 2 takes the cake for that. Let's see. We have a couple more here we can read. Oh man, there's so many on here, guys. You guys are great.
Yeah, we'll cover them in next week as well, so we get everyone's.
Yeah. Okay. Which one? Let's see. Let me try to pick them at. Oh, okay. Niall Lawler, if I got your name right, sorry if I didn't. He asked, what film released in the last 10 years would cause the most controversy if it was remade or rebooted in about 20 years' time?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Because we're, all these movies, like your Back to the Futures and, a lot of these movies are getting remade nowadays.
So it'd have to be
80s.
It'd have to be an original story that we consider iconic. Because
nowadays,
I was thinking like Batman v Batman. I was thinking,
please remake that movie, please.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, no, like The Dark Knight's iconic, but if that's remade, that would just be another Batman movie. So it kind of needs to be an original story. Like, oh yeah,
Inception. I feel like that takes the cake. Yeah. If you take if they were announced in 2034 that they were going to remake Inception, all the people of my generation would be like, why would you remake an original property? Just do more original movies, because Inception was, Inception is that kind of. I feel like Inception kind of goes as much money as it made. I feel like not enough people talk about Inception anymore. Inception's really awesome. We haven't talked about it. We haven't talked about it on the show yet, but I really love that movie. It's in my top 5 favorite films.
Yeah.
But Inception.
Well,
I think
you know what else? I think maybe if I know it has to be. He says in the last 10 years. This might be longer than 10 years ago. If they remade Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
that'd be blasphemy.
Pulp Fiction is 22 years old. So,
yeah, that's way too old. All right, then if they remade Inglourious Bastards or any of Quentin Tarantino's other stuff.
Well, because it's hard to find a film from the last 10 years.
That's classic, and there's no way you could ever remake that and do it justice. No way.
Well, if you were going to, you would have to. There would be no need to call it Pulp Fiction, because without Tarantino, it's such a random film where stuff just kind of happens. But the way Tarantino does it, it's not about the story; it's about the characters. It's like saying, "Oh, we're gonna remake Reservoir Dogs." You mean you're gonna do a heist film or something goes wrong? It's not about the plot. It's about the characters and Tarantino's writing. So. It's also hard to think about that question because you're right. You have to find a film that has made a staple in pop culture and will permanently stay in our minds.
And so
right
many
now,
of them are already part of a franchise, like The Dark Knight, Mad Max Fury Road, Avengers.
Those are some of they're quote unquote remakes and sequels, but they're still considered. I keep hitting my mic, but they're still considered because I'm moving my hands when I'm talking. But they're still considered to be some of the greatest films in the last decade for a reason, because they're incredible movies.
Yeah,
but
I think you might have got it with Inception.
Yeah,
that'd have to be it. Yeah.
Finally, right? Yay. Because I know people have seen Whiplash. For people to be mad if they remake it, they better not though. So they're gonna remake Harry Potter soon enough though. That depresses me.
Yeah.
That's sad. It's gonna be depressing to see Daniel Radcliffe as Professor Snape in the remake.
I've still got to watch those movies to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start doing those soon. It's August, so we're gonna have to start working on those soon. And Trilbee's gonna be really excited for them. Yeah, I'm kind of excited.
When does the movie come out?
November 10th, I think. So.
Okay, yeah, I could knock them all over before then. Yeah, right. Because you guys have seen it. It's just me.
We might make October. We might just make October Harry Potter month and just talk about all the Harry Potter films in October because nothing really big's coming out in October.
One episode of it.
No,
we don't have to string it out over multiple weeks, do we?
There's no way we could. Why didn't we just do Nolan's Batman trilogy in 1 week? There's no way we can do eight movies with different stories.
Is it really that epic?
I mean, but the thing is, it's like, we don't have to do 8 weeks worth of Harry Potter movies. We could do 2 or 3 an episode. I'm not saying, but it would be wrong on our part to try to knock out all 8 of them in one episode, unless the episode's like 5 hours long. But I just, I don't. Bandit, watch the bloody movies, all right? We're doing Harry Potter. Gosh darn it, we're doing Harry Potter.
Maybe I could just watch one a week, and we could just talk about it in homework briefly.
No.
Right,
if I have to do the prequels, then you have to do Harry Potter. That's the deal. All right.
You've already seen the prequels, and there's only 3 of them.
Harry Potter isn't trash, man. You're gonna have a good time. I promise.
No, but there's 8.
How many times have I been wrong? And 6 of them are really great movies. The other 2 are fine. So I'm not gonna tell you which though, so you can skip them. Yeah.
All right.
I tell you what, Bandit, because you're such a bitter mood, we'll close up the episode here.
Wonderful.
Unless you have another question you want to get to.
Maybe, how about we just do one more, because there's so many questions here. I feel bad leaving so many unanswered.
Oh, okay, here's one. Okay, Mitchell Radford asks, who is the most charming supporting character in a film you've recently watched? Yeah. A film recently. So that's yeah. I don't know. Can Adorable count as charming? Because Groot to me, is makes that movie for me. Groot and Drax are my favorite characters out of that movie. They make some of the best bits. If I guess we're going recently, I really enjoyed Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I feel like he brought a lot of heart to the film as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
I know it's kind of cheating, but I was thinking of Chewbacca in Force Awakens.
Oh,
but that's kind of cheating because he's Chewie, of course.
Then I'll go BB. I'll go BB-8 in Force Awakens.
BB-8 was crap.
What?
BB-8 was terrible. It was a waste of space. Terrible rip-off of R2-D2.
What? I feel like you're trolling me. You can't be serious.
He's not even there. He's not even there on the island with Rey. That's how little importance he has.
He stays with his best friend Poe Dameron. What are you on about? We don't have time to get into another Star Wars debate. These can go on for 2 hours, guys. Well, I've seen it with my own eyes. Most charming. I can't think of charming people most recently. Oh, I really enjoyed Bones from Star Trek, but I wouldn't call him charming. I don't know. He was really fun to watch, but I don't know if I'd call him charming. What's his face from 10 Cloverfield Lane was charming, and he had a lot of spirit. Emmett from 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought he did great in that film. I rewatched that movie recently. It's still really good. All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind rewatching that movie again too. Hey, what's RWBY? Because a question from
Ruby?
Aaron.
He's been asking that for 6 months. I feel like it's my time. Aaron McKellar asked, and I know his name. I think I got his name right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's been asking on YouTube, Twitter.
We probably
Facebook.
keep skipping it because we don't know what RWBY means.
I keep skipping it because he sounds like he's a really big fan, and I'm sad to say that I don't like Ruby. It's an internet anime show, and it has a very big following. Have you ever heard of Red vs. Blue?
No.
Okay, good. Do you know what Halo is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, some guys that took the game Halo and turned it into a really popular online TV series called Red vs. Blue, which I quite enjoy. Those same guys made a show called Ruby. I think it's an online anime series, and it has quite the following. It's done by the channel Rooster Teeth, if you've ever heard of those guys. I've seen the first 2 episodes, and I'm not a fan. That's why I've been avoiding that question for 6
So
months.
sorry, Aaron, but yeah, that's why we haven't answered it, because I don't know what it is, and Trey doesn't like it.
And I don't like it. So, like, he's been asking that question for like 6 months. And I feel like I really don't feel like crushing the guy's dreams. I know how it feels to be like, because I used to ask the same question for a long time, and I guess I finally answered for him.
I mean, I'm sure it's great.
Sorry.
I'm sure it's great. I just haven't seen
It's not. It's really not. It's really not. That's my opinion, though. I'm sorry. I've been trying to avoid this conversation for like 6 months.
Gee, I was trying to be nice. He's one of our listeners. He's a regular to our
Like,
show.
Yeah, but he's been asking this question since like Daredevil, and I'm just like, I don't want to. Ever since we started talking about anime, he's been recommending.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we went through an anime phase, didn't we? Yeah.
You talked about
Anime's
2
good.
animes, and suddenly we got like these 35 recommendations to watch anime stuff.
Can't
Oh
wait till
man,
One
yeah.
Punch Man comes back. That was a great show. That was so cool.
Is it on Netflix? Otherwise, I can't watch it. So, unless you want me to just pirate it.
I can't remember
Anyways.
how I watched it, but it's great. You would never think a show that is built around the premise that the hero kills everybody with one punch could actually be interesting, but it is. Because you'd think, oh, it's so boring because he just punches them and that ends. But they find a way to make it work. It's really good.
You know what's really depressing? Speaking of crushing people's dreams,
What?
trying to convince somebody to watch Game of Thrones, and then they watch it and then they don't like it. That's really depressing sometimes.
Really? Have
When
you
like
had to
you
do
try,
that with
yeah.
someone?
Well, what I usually do is I show somebody the first episode, and then they're usually in. I showed one guy the first episode, and he's just like, okay, so. And then I showed him episode 2, and he's just like, yeah, and I was like, oh, well, if you're not in by now, I don't know what I can do for you.
Oh,
I don't know.
Everyone
Everyone else I know
to
has
The
been
Walking
in by
Dead
it.
coming back.
He is a big Walking Dead fan, by the way. So like, Anyways, that being said,
I don't know if I'll
let's
bother
end.
watching Walking Dead this season. It's
We had a deal. You told me you said during when the series ended, you said we're gonna give it 3 strikes.
yes,
and have
that's
3
right.
strikes, and then we'll give up there. All right.
So as long as they
Those are
space out, they usually have 3 good episodes in a season. As long as
Yep.
they strategically space it out, we could be able to get through the whole season.
Not.
If they
I
have
don't think
1
so.
too good, 1 good too bad, 1 good too bad, they could maybe make it through.
Now, if they have 1 good, 2 bad, and then 1 good, 2 bad, we're gone by the time the mid-season finale happens. Yeah, I think if that's how math works. Anyways,
Hey, can I ask you something? Like,
yes.
now that we're totally
Yes.
off topic, it doesn't matter if I bring it up. But do you have like, I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch like Netflix and YouTube and stuff like that. Like, nobody watches TV anymore. But the other day I was
Well, my
watching,
grandpa does.
Yeah.
Sorry.
like, only anyone over the age of like 40 sort of watches TV anymore. But it's like, I was flicking around on TV, and there was like Outback Truckers, a reality show of like truck drivers driving across the Australian desert. And then after that, there's like Arctic truckers, like, truckers in Alaska and all this stuff. And I was like, I was uploading, so I couldn't watch anything online. There was nothing else on, so I was like, oh, I guess I'll watch that. It was way more interesting than you thought it would be. I was like, you would never think that a show about truck drivers was interesting. But man, it was so interesting. It really was. I couldn't believe it. It's like, because it's all about, like, you never think of all this stuff. It's like, these truck drivers have these massive heavy loads, like they're carrying like construction equipment to like mining, and the size of those mining trucks are like as big as a house. You like see them in some of these massive mines, and it's like these trucks are, or like if they're going uphill, the weight is so much that if for some reason they have to stop on the hill, they can't start again because there's too much weight. They can't. So sometimes they go uphill and then the traffic like starts slowing down. And they're like, come on, I can't stop. And the music's going, dun, 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 as they're going up the hill. And you're like, come on, you're almost at the top, make it. And then when they go down the hill, they say, because there's so much weight, they can't just hit the brake and hold the brakes on because it will burn the brakes out. So they have to tap the brakes and use the gears, like go into a lower gear or a higher gear or whatever, to like slow the truck down. So they're trying desperately to slow this truck down as it's heading down this hill, and the road's getting narrower, and it's turning around, and idiots trying to overtake them at the wrong time, and they're just barely hanging onto the road with this truck, and you're like, ooh, no! It's really interesting. And there's then stuff will break, and they have to fix it, and they've got the deadline. And this one guy, he's driving across the desert, and he couldn't make it up a hill. He had to roll back down and then try to make it up again. And he's in the Australian desert, and the road's so hot, his tires start melting on the road. So he can't get actual traction to get up this hill. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I don't know why I wanted to mention that, but...
I have no idea why you brought that up. I was just listening to it. I'm like, where the hell is this going?
Maybe it's
what's the plan?
One Punch Man, you never think that'd be interesting because it's just One Punch Man. But
okay.
Outback Truckers, you never think that'd be interesting.
Okay,
wow, it really
we'll put that
is.
under. We'll put that under. Why aren't we funding this? We'll bring back that segment to ask you all to go. Why aren't we funding this more seasons of Arctic Truckers and Australian Truckers?
There you go.
On weird Australian television. Right on. All right.
That was one segment we had back ages ago. We have an intro.
I'm waiting.
We never used.
I'm
it
waiting.
Again.
I'm waiting to bring it back. I have some ideas. I'm waiting to bring it back. Anyways,
if you read a book,
that's
you
for
think
later
you make
on.
a good movie, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have some ideas. Anyways, all right, guys. Well,
Sure.
that's just the Movie Mania podcast. Bandit, where can people find you?
Hang on, before we move on, here's a new thing we got to get used to.
Okay.
Our artwork for this week, because as we mentioned last week, all you guys who submitted all the fantastic artwork of our Movie Mania logos, we're going to cycle through them each week. This is one. The one you're seeing right now is Ziyad788, who did the fantastic picture of me as Mad Max, you, Trey, as Force Awakens wearing some pretty cool Jedi or Sith body armor.
Yes.
And Trey as filmmaker Indiana Jones.
Yes. And you have the Schwarzenegger moon. I love all of this.
Yeah, we have the Stallone planet, the Schwarzenegger moon.
I'll be back. Yes,
this guy, he's the one who was in the comment section saying, "My picture is so good, I'm going to win." And everyone's like, "That's pretty arrogant." And then I saw the picture and I was like, yeah, I would have been arrogant too. That is a pretty damn good picture.
Well, arrogance is not usually rewarded, and it is a very nice picture. What's the guy's name again? What's the guy? He did a very good job. I'm not going to say whether or not it's my favorite, but I can say that he did a very good job. Well done. And that is this week's Movie Mania thumbnail.
And if you want to check out more stuff from him, check out his Instagram. His Instagram is at innocentpsychopath_art. That's innocentpsychopath_art. He does a lot of he says he's got a lot of stuff in here for the he must be doing like contract
whoa, careful. We can't say that. We can't say that event. Apparently the event they've been taking down videos that have been mentioning them that it's not official sponsors of the event, and so I'm worried that if we say anything, they're going to take the video down. Yeah,
well,
so
I better
we're going to call it the Super Happy Fun Time event.
It's a certain sporting event happening in Rio.
Yeah.
That certainly
that
does not start with the letter
Rio.
O and end with pics. But
please don't test the Bandit, please.
But he says we should. He's got some of that on his Instagram, but he says he's also got comic book art that people might like, and a lot of that stuff. So yeah, head on over there to Instagram and check him out. And thank you, Ziyad788, for your picture. We love it.
All right. Right on. Okay. Bandit, where can people find you?
Oh, people can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated, and they can find you.
They can find me on YouTube's Twitter and Instagram, all at Podcast Media. My short film currently still in the works. I won't give you the title, not yet. Just know it's about Star Wars. Yeah, join us next week when we talk. No idea what we're talking about next week. No idea. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out later, guys. We'll let you all know. We'll let you all know by next week. Catch you all later, and Movie Maniacs. Yeah, God, I'm tired.